All right. So, had a couple of technical difficulties right off the rip there, guys, but welcome to the inaugural Roundtable podcast, the tactical roundtable starring yours truly and the one and only G Money Mozart. And we're going to be talking about all things tactical shooters, mainly Ghost Recon Breakpoint, and I would say the utter distraught that it's currently in. And yeah, so first things first, we're going to be starting off with an introduction to G Money Mozart himself. Welcome to the stream, good sir.
Yo, what's up, guys?
So, the first thing I think we should jump into this is well, let's first things first, let's welcome everybody that's chilling in here. I see Havoc Gaming, I see a bunch of friendly faces that I've seen in the chat and seen in the comments section. But we're going to be talking about, let's start off with the 2021 roadmap. So, we got the teammate expansion coming at the end of spring, which looks like it's going to be the very end of spring, right? To probably in June. And then we have the new operation coming out in the fall. And we have a new confirmation that Moa Island is not coming. We're going to be talking about all of that in today's live stream. So, first things first, the 2021 roadmap, the new teammates. I know that you yourself have definitely been a connoisseur of the AI teammates in this game. What do you think about this update that's going to be coming? What do you think it's actually going to be all about?
Oh, man. First of all, I don't even know if it's going to hit as hard as everybody thinks it will, in my opinion. From what I said in my video when we got all this intel, I do think you're going to be able to pick and choose how many teammates you have at once. But then I go into thinking about how sync shot works and how people really utilize their teammates just for sync shot purposes. So why would anybody take it less teammates rather than more? So there are mechanical things we are going to assume how they're going to work, how they're not going to work. There are things that I'm not sure how that's going to fly with people if you get less mechanics or more mechanics depending on how many teammates you take out. That's one thing. As far as the XP and building up XP, I really think it's going to translate into what the Rainbow 16 was. Basically, you took them out, they all had their own kind of little mechanic that they used for you. I think one healed you, another one used, I think, the like the shock pistol, EMP grenade or something, and what I forget what the other teammate utilized. But basically, I think they're going to translate that into your original three teammates. So now across the board, regardless if you take your rainbow team out or if you take your original three, all of them will kind of have this baseline move that they could use and that maybe will be able to use for them, or they'll just use it when they feel like it's necessary. I know the Ubisoft developers love to make the teammates autonomous and they kind of do their
Yeah.
own thing, which, yeah, I'm not a big fan of. I really like to have more control over the teammates. I would love to see more moves and mechanics as far as utilizing move two and hold position, open fire, things like that. I've been a really, really, I've I've really pushed that wanting to get recreated from the ground up. I don't think we're going to get anything like that. I think it's going to be very simple. From what we see, how Ubisoft Paris has been developing this game for year one and now moving into year two, I wouldn't really expect a whole lot other than what already they have as core mechanics and systems already built for the game. So I do see, like I said, maybe we'll get some moves for our original three. You'll get missions to run out with them and give them XP so you can unlock those moves and abilities. And you'll be able to maybe pick how many you want to take out with you. I really think that's going to be it. It would be crazy because it says the teammate experience. It doesn't say the AI teammate experience. How crazy would it be if Ubisoft threw like a curveball, which obviously won't happen, where it's like
We can only
you
hope.
yeah, we could only hope. I mean, I know the game is designed for 4 players, but imagine now you could play co-op with 5 or 6. That was not going to happen. But
Yeah.
something like that would be crazy. That's not going to happen though. But yeah, that's my take on as far as the teammate experience. And then moving forward, Lara Croft somewhere in there, and then God knows with the
Yeah,
bowman
I would
thing.
say we go with the Lara Croft DLC. Like, did you see what Rainbow Six got? The
No,
oh,
oh,
what was it? I'm trying to remember what it
they
was.
got a I know they got a skin.
Yeah, it was like that. It was like the cartoon DLC though, or something. I thought I saw on there. I don't know. I would like to see with the AI teammates though, since we had the Rainbow Six Siege thing, and we had the whole. It was supposed to be like a breach, but like the AI teammates didn't do it. I wish there would be something that maybe even we could give to fix it, because he's kind of that, up close in your face AI teammate. Make it so that he can actually breach, so you can like point at a door. Well, I guess how would that work? Because there's not any doors that don't slide,
Yeah,
other than
right?
that Rainbow Six Siege like DLC that had those few breachable doors, I guess. But I don't know. I would have liked the feature where you could actually like point at that door, and somebody would like one of your teammates would go walk over and put a breach charge on it, or
Well, I
allow
f
you to put an actual breach charge other than just throwing a C4 pack at it. But that would include a whole new animation. And
exactly, and that's where I feel like once you get
yeah,
into
Rick and
that
Morty. That was the DLC for Rainbow Six Siege. The Rick and Morty DLC.
oh, yes, I just saw that.
We
That's
get we get Lara Croft. They get Rick and Morty.
but I do feel like once you start to enter the territory of it being mechanics built from the ground up, I don't think you'll get that. So if they released Amber Sky in this Rainbow Six live event without that mechanic, I don't know. Maybe maybe they'd work on the AI being able to have better close quarter combat mechanics or CQB mechanics when they're actually engaging indoors. But I don't really see Ubisoft Paris. I mean, are they capable of doing that? And if they are, do they have the time or the ability to do that right now?
Yeah, I think
And
that would.
yeah,
I seen that would be like way too much of a rework. I think with its the way the game is currently built, maybe fingers crossed we'll see something like that for the next one.
and that's
Whenever that may be.
That's also why when I talk about AI teammates and the fundamentals when controlling them, I always felt like it was wrong for them to build them to move as one unit instead of being able to control them individually and tell them move here and they'll move there and stay there. Move here, move there and stay there, all three of them. And then when you tell them to open fire, they'll actually open fire from that position and not run around. Because then
Yeah,
at that point, when you're breaching a building, you can quickly say, move here. And you could move your guys and utilize them in a way where you're using CQB and violence of action. And to add on to that, if you can tell them toss a frag, there's so many things we can get into that we're not going to get, at least for Ghost Recon Breakpoint, but we can discuss it and talk about it and hopefully, put it out into the ether so they recognize that these are the types of things that maybe they should be working on for AI teammates in the future.
things that were a part of SOCOM 20 years ago on the PlayStation 2 and like
Exactly.
the OG Xbox, or not the OG Xbox because it wasn't on the Xbox, but those controls that at that time I would almost say like that was a small studio back then. I mean,
Yeah, it
they
was
they said that.
Zipper Interactive.
Yeah, they said that there was, at least at launch for Breakpoint, there was a thousand devs. There was 1,000 devs working on Ghost Recon. Whether or not that was true, whether or not that was just Ubisoft Paris or Ubisoft whatever that branch was as a whole, but I don't know. It's like you were saying, like the fact that they built them where it was just like, you throw out one command, they all do it. You tell them to engage, they run around like a chicken with their head cut off in combat, not taking cover, just absorbing hundreds of bullets. And there
Yeah,
was
the
those features like the grenade, and you open fire from a tactical position, go here, go there individually, that was built into a game that came out 20 something years ago.
Yes,
It just it
and we
kind
could
of
look at other games as well that
yeah,
have those types of mechanics, and it's almost like it's an afterthought for what they're doing with Ghost Recon, which should be a squad-based tactical shooter. And I understand they want to push us more towards co-op and multiplayer, whether it's PvP or PvE, but a lot of people like to hop into these games, play solo, and utilize their teammates kind of like they're the squad leader.
yeah,
And with these commands and with these controls, it just you really can't do it, especially when you're actually trying to control them with the commands. Outside of sync shot, they're pretty bad and pretty useless.
yeah.
So as far as the teammate experience, I don't really see that changing, and I really just see them working in the Rainbow Six mechanics into the original 3 with a leveling system to get you those abilities, but we'll see.
Yeah. Chris Savoy in the chat says, are they going to have new missions with the next update? As far as I know, that with the AI, the teammate experience is supposed to have like this whole other thing with progression for your teammates and being able to like unlock new abilities and stuff for your AI teammates. I don't recall seeing anything from the information that we've got so far stating, like new actual missions,
Yeah,
that are
just
going to be
outside of the AI, I
right.
don't think so, or the teammate experience, whatever,
I
but
feel
yeah.
like they would be kind of dropping the ball if they didn't introduce like if they are going to be introducing new mechanics for the AI teammates, introducing some new types of even faction missions. Maybe throw in a few new faction missions that kind of allow you to really use those abilities to their full potential because maybe there is some sort of like a breach thing, but currently how do you breach a sliding door? Like
Yeah,
they should almost. But then again, how much rework would that take? How much rework would that take to the base game to be able to do that? So who
and that's
knows?
why
Only
yeah,
time
that's
will
why
tell.
that yeah, that's why that we're probably not getting that, and the fact that they use the sliding doors, I had heard that doors opening and closing is, ironically enough, like, one of the hardest things for developers to manage, so I wouldn't be surprised if they use that type of mechanic to kinda avoid that situation in this game, because as we see with Wildlands, I'm trying to think back,
There was a
there weren't
few breachable doors, like
yeah,
very, very few.
like, legit breachable how we
Yes,
saw in Amber Sky, but there weren't actually any, like,
that actually had a different
doors.
animation in Wildlands. It was an actual like breach where you would kick through the door.
Yeah, yeah.
But other than those, I probably would say there was less than 2 dozen or so in the entire like massive open world. Everything else, everybody had houses that just didn't have doors on it. They were just totally okay
Exactly.
with being open to the public. They just didn't have doors on
So
anything.
we went from that to sliding doors, so it's
Right.
almost as if, they're really kind of avoiding that when it should be a staple in a game where you're looking at military guys who are gonna bust through this compound, kick through doors, maneuver their way through buildings, and they're almost avoiding that entire scenario in exchange for this slow stealth Splinter Cell type gameplay.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. Stephen White does say in the chat that the dev said that there's going to be quests to use with the new teammate mechanics. Because I think that's right,
Yes.
because there was like a quest log that they
Yes.
put in there. So I don't know if you're just like your teammates are just gonna like magically gain these abilities, or like you're gonna have to like teach them, or like actually like if there is an in-depth progression system. They were pretty vague on that, and I'll be honest with you guys, I being in Delta Company, I don't have any inside information on that. I have no idea other than the fact that we are getting an AI teammate, experience or whatever teammate experience.
Well,
Um,
let's look at it from the fundamentals of game development, right? What could it basically be? It'll be a leveling system. You'll get to a certain point and you'll unlock things. That's it.
yep.
That's it. So yeah, we'll have quests in a quest log. Maybe they'll resemble something like faction missions where they will be random and they'll send you across the map to do them. And maybe with each teammate, it's different things, but we could also look at it as how the faction missions work, where it might get repetitive after a while, and you'll get to a certain point and you'll unlock I don't know how many abilities they plan on giving. I would assume just one per teammate, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe at this point, each teammate will be able to unlock each ability, so you'll be able to roll out with one teammate and take whatever ability.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. So then you're not just set on taking a very particular one that only
Yeah,
has the ability to use that one set ability.
they won't pigeonhole you into using this guy or that guy, but, who
Yeah,
knows?
we'll see. We'll see about that.
And that gets back into my questioning on how rolling out with a certain amount of teammates is gonna work. Because if I could take 3 teammates with 1 ability each, are they gonna recognize that to the point where if I take 1 teammate, that 1 teammate can take 3 abilities with them? 'Cause
Hmm,
otherwise, people are gonna wanna roll out with the most,
right,
the most sync shots, the most
right.
abilities. The easiest way to get through a base, people will usually use unless you're doing things like role play and things like that, and you kind of want to mess around.
Yeah. Yeah, true. Um, Also, this is completely something that we weren't actually going to talk about, but somebody's talking about in the chat with the battle rewards system. Are we ever getting it back? Honestly, I don't know.
Wait,
I've
didn't they? It's been a long year and a half. Didn't they say no a
I
while
don't
back? Like right from the get go, didn't they say that's it? We're removing it,
they said
and
they were
that's
going to
it.
remove it because there was too many bugs and they were going to try to get it in at a later date. They were trying to get it in by, I want to say it wasn't Amber Sky, Red Patriot. They were going to try to, because that was like the third DLC that they turned it, because they disabled them at the start of the second one. They gave you all the rewards, and then they basically said they were going to remove it and they were going to try to get everything fixed by the third DLC, which at that time would have been, I believe, Red Patriot, and haven't heard anything. There was a couple. There was the guy over on Reddit. I'm trying to remember what his name was, that had a cool idea for it, where it could, like, after you completed, certain faction missions could obviously do with like the battle rewards and then turn into like a different sort of an XP system. And I think with the battle rewards, like obviously they're trying to mimic every other game out there nowadays that has the
Yeah,
battle pass. It
yeah,
wasn't a terrible idea, but there was just way too many bugs with it. There was some cool weapons. I'll give them that. There was some cool weapons in there, but I don't like the fact that they limited you to how many, like, I don't even remember what they were called, like the battle rewards points or whatever. You were only allowed like so many per day,
yeah.
which, like, for those people that like really want to play your game, they really want to grind, they want to complete the entire battle pass on the first day, more power to you. That was kind of the thing, like at the start where they had like the battle pass boosts and stuff like that before they completely removed those. I was able to get a couple of those before they removed them from the game, which allowed me to get to some of the later guns and stuff in the first one before, a lot of the community. But it was a good idea, missed opportunity because of it just wasn't fully fleshed out. I have no idea if it was completely denied that it's coming back, or if it will ever come back, being the state in the game with what it is now. Who
I don't
knows?
know.
That'd be definitely a
I
question
don't
for
see
the
it coming
devs.
back. I don't see it coming back. They tied it to the live events, and when we look at year two, they don't even have live events. So they're even abandoning the live event
True,
model.
true.
Like that's it. We're getting teammate experience, a Lara Croft little mission where you'll probably bounce around a few areas and then, find her magical whatever, and then the Bowman at the end. So
Yeah.
they don't there's no mention of battle rewards or battle pass or whatever. There's no mention of live events. So they might just completely get rid of that model altogether. But
Hmm.
we have to see.
Yep. Real quick, Ronan's Ghost in the chat. What are your guys' thoughts on rollable sleeves on long sleeve shirts? Me and I just talked to G Money about this the other day, and he's talked about this multiple times in his live streams and stuff. If you're gonna have long sleeve shirts in the game, don't make it so you got to have a different version to have short sleeves. I personally just treat it like blouse boots. I know a lot of people, I've had people in my comment section say the same thing. You have blouse boots, make it so all the shirts in the game are basically two separate models, and it's just an option to sort of, I guess, blouse your shirt. Roll up
Yeah.
your sleeves, roll down your sleeves. Every shirt should have that ability. Shouldn't matter, and make
Yeah.
it simple. Obviously, that would mean they would have to make two models for the shirt, but
I
maybe they
mean,
want to be able to try to repackage that and sell it to you twice.
no, oh god, no, definitely not. I
I don't
just
know.
think,
I think it's definitely just like that would even just be like a quality of life thing. Like, and
yeah,
then, like, if you're gonna launch a game, like a new Ghost Recon game, if there's any devs watching, in the next game, make it so that at the start of the game it launches with a Cry Combat shirt, and you don't have to go buy it.
a lot of people are upset at that.
Yes. Like, obviously I couldn't not have that shirt, but like in Wildlands, I'm pretty sure it was just a staple. It was just there.
But
It-
I don't think devs, let's say you have a dev in here. I think that just comes down to management. They look at numbers, they say, "Look, all these people love this." And then you have some guys like, "Let's throw it in the store so we could maximize profits for it because people will go buy it." And yeah, you make people angry, but then you have people go buy it. So
yep,
sometimes,
I bought it.
yeah.
I bought it. It
I
was
think
one
I
of the
have it
it
too.
was one of the cooler looking shirts in the game until during the, what was it? Was it the Red Patriot? I think it was the Red Patriot DLC when we got access to Scott Mitchell's shirt.
Yeah,
which is
yeah,
actually I'm wearing that currently in the gameplay you guys are seeing on screen. I
yeah.
will
It has the
never,
sleeves rolled up.
I will, and it doesn't. It makes it so that it deactivates the battle belt.
Oh
Which
yeah,
another
yeah.
thing, like don't even get me started on that battle belt. Whoever's idea it was to have like a battle belt that you couldn't remove, come on now.
Well, you realize that they patched that so many times when they could have just left it how it was in the beginning. And I don't know if all you guys remember, the battle belt was tied into your vest. So
If you
if
removed your
you,
vest, it removed
yeah,
the
you
belt.
had
Oh,
no
I did not.
battle
I
belt.
didn't even know that.
So I remember how, and then there were different pieces of clothing that didn't have it, and they one at a time they would patch it in. So at a certain point in time, I think that will be something I don't know about Breakpoint, but definitely in the next iteration of this franchise, the belt has to have its own unique slot, and you should be able to hook up your belt just like anything else. You should be able to put the belt on, maybe put a canteen on it. You know, if
Hmm.
you want to put, you should be able to customize it a little bit.
Yeah, there's speaking on even that note too, just to elaborate a little bit more on that. I don't know for those of you guys in the chat and G Money, I don't know, I don't even think I've ever mentioned this to you. Have you ever heard of or played a game called Ground Branch?
I've heard of Ground Branch. I haven't played it.
So in that game, I played it a little bit, but I just kind of went in and saw the customization. It has a little bit. I wouldn't say it's not as in depth of a gunsmith, but it's the right way to do it. So if you have a sort of like a rail system on a weapon, you can mount whatever you want to said rail system, like whether it be laser sights, flashlights, sights. You can move it forward on the rail system, you can move it back. But when it comes to character customization, strictly even with the vests, like the chest rigs, so you can choose and customize all your pouches so that you can have more
Ah,
mags, or
yes.
you can have more grenades, or you can have other equipment and stuff that you can customize the vest. Each pouch is customizable. So you, but it pertains to actually what your character can have. So if you
Yeah.
want extra mags across the front, you will be able to carry more ammo. And how that game works is obviously if you do a reload, that magazine has however many bullets that were in it when you reload it. So if you cycle
Yes.
all the way around to your mags, you're not just going to magically have a full mag. You're going to have a
Mhm.
mag that is, maybe half empty. And then if you want to carry less ammo, more tacticals, more grenades, you can customize that, but it strictly takes place of what's actually usable on your character.
And these are basically mechanics that the community has been asking for since Wildlands, I guess,
Mhm.
where it comes to not only just customization of your vest and things like that, but the fact that gear matters. What you take with you matters. And then you could get into a gear management system with weight. And if you put on more heavy gear, you might
Yes.
be a little slower. There's things like that. And
Yep.
then also magazines. People have talked about the fact that you shouldn't have an ammo pool. Every magazine
Yes.
holds a certain amount of bullets. If you pull out a magazine with 10 bullets, when you cycle back to it, it has 10 bullets in it.
Yep.
And when they first designed, I forget what it's called, but when you could lose your ammo basically when you reload.
Mhm.
When they first designed that, I believe back in Wildlands, I remember saying to myself, "You guys sat here and you designed this system because people were asking to be held accountable to reloading when they didn't really use all their bullets in their magazine, and they came up with that system
Yeah, I'm
when in
terrible at that.
reality, yeah, every other tactical shooter does it right, and then here comes UB Paris, and they completely botched it and got it wrong. So I'm hoping moving forward, they actually look into that as well, because it's these little things that really bring the tactical shooter to life. And when you have all these little mechanics and they fit well together and everything is created in a way that makes sense, people are going to look at it and say, yes, this is done right. This is done right. This is done right. And you're not going to have an entire community bitching and moaning and complaining, which is what we've all been doing for Ghost Recon Breakpoint.
Guilty.
But
Guilty.
yeah, but
Guilty as charged.
it's warranted when you're ignoring mechanics that matter and you're pushing things like tiered loot and all these things that nobody asked for. You're going to have a community that's unhappy.
Correct. Yeah, I think that's definitely a step. Obviously, we're not going to be discussing that for Breakpoint with like for instance customizable pouches, reloads and
Oh
stuff like
no,
that. But
for future
yeah,
game.
And I think that's where you're going to get the discussion of whether or not you have an inventory management system. Obviously, you want a weight system and all that. I personally, obviously, then you would technically have to, like for instance, if you're on PC, you would have to tab, or on a controller, you press the back button to like get into your inventory. It would be a little bit different, obviously, on console because a lot of your inventory management games like that are obviously really easy to do on PC because you have a mouse and keyboard. But when it comes to like mag management and stuff like that, I don't even know how that works in this game because I'm pretty sure when you reload, it always just falls on the ground. If I'm not 100% sure on that, I'd have to check and see the animations, but I'm pretty sure in Wildlands, when you reloaded, the mag just and it fell on the ground, and you left it there.
Yeah.
Obviously, other games, I'm a big fan of Escape from Tarkov. Obviously, that's not really a tactical shooter, a third person tactical shooter. It's first person, but with that one, you have like your chest rig, your mags go in your chest rig. If you have you can only set so many mags in the chest rig depending on the chest rig size. When you do a reload, you take the mag out of your gun, put it back in your chest rig, you pull one out of your chest rig, put it in your gun, and then obviously when you cycle through your mags, you get back to one that's already used, doesn't have as many bullets into it. And if you can do like tactical reloads so that you completely lose the magazine. And I feel like I don't know if Ghost Recon wants to go that in depth, where like for instance, if you went to Ear One and you talked to shit, I forgot her name, the chick at Ear
Ma-
One, and you
Maria.
buy Maria, yeah, and then you go in there and you buy your mags. You go in there and you buy your mags. If you do a
Yes.
tactical reload, say you bought 4 mags, you do a tactical reload, now you only have 3. You
Yeah.
can fully reload those mags or whatever, but now you only have 3. If you do that too much, then you could basically do a tactical reload and not have a mag to put in your gun. I don't know if
And
that would just
mechanically, it has to make sense as well. Your tactical reloads have to have a speed to it where it makes sense to use.
right. Yeah, so basically just hit the mags what do you I don't know what you call it, like the mag drop on the side of the gun, the mag falls out, you immediately shove one in. It should have at least, half the time of like a normal reload, but then obviously you have that consequence of losing that mag.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that's something that Ghost Recon would be considering to do. Obviously not for Breakpoint, but maybe a future title. I know that's a feature in Tarkov. I know some of those stuff like that, obviously in Arma, because Arma's you're probably not going to find another military shooter out there on that scale. Arma, Insurgency, Sandstorm, those kind of games, obviously they're not the arcade level that Ghost Recon is. And for those people out there, I don't know if there's anybody that says this that's currently in the chat that is a niche style. Yes, but Ghost Recon went from being something closer to that, and I feel as if the longer it's been around, it's sort of kind of lost its identity and became more of an arcade shooter. I don't know if we should go back to the realism. Like I wouldn't do Arma. I wouldn't go that far. But if you had maybe like if Arma and Ghost Recon Wildlands had a baby, there.
Yeah.
Maybe something like that. Like don't go
There's a middle
crazy.
ground.
There is definitely a middle
There's a
ground
middle
that
ground between these two games, these two extremes. But seeing how this is what scares me. Seeing where Assassin's Creed was, seeing where Assassin's Creed is, I feel like the way Ubisoft operates, they do that with all their games. So it's almost as if seeing how Breakpoint turned out to what it was, it's almost as if they were trying to do the same thing with Ghost Recon, really trying to push it into more RPG light systems, have really more wild mechanics and things like that to where they can sell to a different audience. At a certain point in time, some of us are going to have to realize, hey man, maybe I'm not the target audience anymore. And that's a hard pill to swallow.
yeah. Actually, I'm going to tell you this real quick. Try to elaborate on that a little bit more because I have to step away from my computer for just 1 second.
Yeah, go do your thing, go do your thing. So I think everybody recognizes that, and the Assassin's Creed community, a lot of the old school guys, and I'm one of them. We were really somewhat disappointed with the direction they took with Origins. Although Origins turned out to be a great game, but then when you go from Origins to Odyssey to Valhalla, and you realize, okay, I'm now a Viking wielding the Excalibur sword or King Arthur's armor. I have Thor's hammer in my hand. You get to a point where it's like, yo, what am I even playing anymore? And maybe Breakpoint flopping was a blessing in disguise because I don't think anybody wants that equivalent for Ghost Recon. The same way you're running around in Assassin's Creed Valhalla and you have Thor's hammer in your hand. I don't think we want that equivalent with Ghost Recon. So Breakpoint's flop might be a blessing in disguise, especially since we went from tiered loot and all of this, and they flipped it and they gave us the immersive experience. And it looks like they're trying to streamline it a lot more towards what the fan base does want. So you never know. It could be a blessing in disguise. Havoc, what's up, man? What's going on? So let's see what you guys are saying. We'll wait for A Squad to get back. A feature I really want to see back from Wildlands is the ability for everyone to see. Ah, yes, your laser at night. See now, this Ghost Gilly. This is definitely I feel like a feature that's like a bug, and they just haven't gotten around to fixing it. I don't know if they can fix it. That's one of the things that a lot of people on the forums and in the community have been talking about. And the thing that kills me about that, when we're looking at Ghost Recon Breakpoint specifically, is that they claim that this game was made for the co-op experience. And that is most definitely one of the biggest, co-op mechanics, especially for a lot of the milsim guys who play no HUD. They'll target enemies with their laser. And when you can't do that, you're kind of lost out there with you and your three other teammates trying to figure out, who's got eyes on who's going to shoot who. So that's definitely something that the team should have looked into by now and attempted to fix. But with the way Ubisoft Paris, I guess, communicates with us, they they won't even come out and say, "Hey, look, this is a mechanic we're looking into. We can't really figure out why it's not working," or something like how with the um what is it called? When you put down the thing on your LMGs and you go into pro and it's supposed to animate out. What
Bipod.
word am I looking for? What?
Bipod?
Oh, bipods.
I'm back.
Yeah.
Thanks for saving the
Um,
show.
like with sorry, brain fart. I had a brain fart. With the bipod system, they came out and they said because the community was saying, "Hey, can we animate our bipods because they're in the game, but they're just sitting there?" And the devs finally came out with the community managers and said, "Hey, in one of the patch notes, we're not going to have functional bipods. Don't expert anymore." So when it comes to mechanics like the your inability to see each other's lasers in co-op, this is something that I feel like when the community is saying, "Hey, you guys don't talk enough to us," this is something where we should get more engagement with the community managers and the developers. Are we ever going to get this mechanic? Because you have a game that's supposedly created for co-op gameplay, yet a main function of co-op gameplay with seeing each other's lasers is not in the game and hasn't been in the game since day one.
Yeah, and
So,
I feel like even like with the bipod thing, just to elaborate on it a little more, I almost feel as if using a bipod to stabilize your weapon isn't even like it's not even if it worked, there's no reason for it to work. Just being the fact that like you could be standing up after sprinting for 30 seconds and your aim doesn't move. There's no
yes.
consequence. Like obviously, like I was watching you do the like I think it was an Arma stream or Arma video that one day, and it was like even when your character was crouched at long
Uh-huh.
range was all over the place,
Uh-huh.
which is how it would be, you know. And I think with if they were gonna do an actual working bipod in the next game, make it so that obviously when you're standing, you're gonna have more weapon sway, maybe different, you know, instead of having like these grips and stuff in the game that make it so that you ADS quicker or something. Like this isn't Call of Duty, so have a foregrip that makes it so that you have more stable aim when you're standing, or if
Yeah,
you
things
if you
need things
crouch
need to
it.
make sense and you need to actually feel it.
Right. Because I mean, if you're standing up and your aim is not, I mean, look at even the gameplay right there. It doesn't move. Like I'm
No,
standing
yeah.
up, it doesn't move. There, if a bipod's really not gonna make. Obviously, there's people that would purposefully use it and deploy it just because of what it is, especially since it doesn't work now. But there would be no, pros to using it currently because there's no weapon sway when you're standing anyway.
Yeah, the only way I could see the Ubisoft Paris devs working that into how the game works now is that they would just have to tighten up the grouping for the weapon. When you go, like, let's say you have the bipod, you go prone, you deploy it, so the grouping at that point would be a lot tighter than what it might normally be. That's the only way I could see them doing it with the
Yeah.
system they have now.
Yep. So now what? Let's see. What can we talk about next? Because I know I stepped away for a sec, so I didn't know how you kind of got on the
Ghost
path that
Gilly.
you.
I read Ghost Gilly's comment. I started going into the comment
Okay.
section, and he was basically talking about you can't see each other's lasers, and it's a big deal for these milsim guys who play co-op.
Yeah. That's a big thing too. Uh, going back and playing Ghost Recon Wildlands, like the red laser, like there's the PQ laser or something like that. That your teammates can see that night vision. All that stuff looks cool. They kind of dropped the ball because this game, I wish I had the Maul laser in Wildlands. This green laser that's in Breakpoint. I wish I had that in Wildlands. It's so good, but you can't see it. Only I can see it. Like even in the
Yeah.
daytime when it's like clear as day for me, you can't see it. When you throw on your night vision goggles, you still can't see it. Like
Yep.
back in this, like for instance, I don't know if that was a feature in SOCOM because it's been so long, but I mean you see all these movies and you see other games and stuff do it. You throw on those MVGs and you have that IR laser that everybody can see. Modern Warfare did it like with their realism mode that they had where you could play some of those maps at night where it was super dark. You throw on your NVGs, you couldn't aim down sight, which technically realistically you wouldn't be able to. If you had a big pair of night vision goggles on, you wouldn't be able to ADS. So that's when the IR laser comes in. So then you obviously have a visual point to aim with, which Modern Warfare did it great. It was just a niche gameplay mode that not that many people played because it was kind of toying with that line of realism, which Call of Duty's not known for. It's an arcade shooter, and I think
Yeah.
it would be suited better in Ghost Recon, especially if they did it right. So also
And
real quick in the chat, I replied, but somebody was talking about no ghillie hoods. So UB Bard actually confirmed that ghillie hoods will be coming in the next title update. So with the teammate
oh,
experience
bombshell.
over on Reddit, I believe it was UB Bard did sort of confirm that we are going to be getting ghillie heads finally, ghillie hoods for our characters. A feature that was, I believe, in Ghost Recon Wildlands from day one. But we
Yeah,
will we will have
and a
ghillie
good
hoods as far
variety
as
of
I
them
know.
too.
Yes, yes. So I know Havoc. What's going on, Havoc? I know that you said PvP multiple times. I don't think, and this is not. I don't have any inside information. I don't really dabble in the PvP side. I haven't. I played a little bit of Ghost War in Wildlands, but I have not played really PvP in Ghost Recon since Future Soldier because nothing to this day compares to the conflict mode from Ghost Recon Future Soldier. Nothing has even ever come close. Not even, I mean, even Call of Duty. The multiplayer mode conflict in Future Soldier, somebody needs to recreate that, whether it be Ubisoft and Ghost Recon, Call of Duty. Rotating objectives in a team based tactical shooter was insane. But PvP, I don't think you're going to see another PvP update for Ghost Recon Breakpoint. That's not inside information. I just don't. It's not a priority at this point. I don't even have any idea how many devs are actually working on Ghost Recon Breakpoint.
I don't think
Um,
they care about PvP, to be honest, for Breakpoint.
yeah, I
Uh,
think if they do, they should definitely do something. For the next game. I even talked about it in my, what I want to see in the next Ghost Recon game. And I said, if you're going to go for a PvP, go back and talk to the devs that made Future Soldier and just do a direct port. Obviously, up the visuals, up the mechanics and stuff like that. But Future Soldier PvP,
I
it
got to
was
be
perfect.
honest. I have to be completely honest here, and I know a lot of people aren't going to want to hear this. In
Lay it down.
today's
Lay it on us.
in today's market, forget about the quote unquote name battle royale. Ghost Recon needs its own battle royale mode. And you could put in whatever mechanics you want. If you want it to be a PvE/PvP type of thing, if you want it straight PvP, but if you want Ghost Recon to have the type of to have a dedicated team constantly working on it, it needs to be something that's going to be played, monetized, and it needs to come outside of a standalone Ghost Recon title. It needs to be something like what was it, Phantoms?
Yes.
It needs to be its own, like Hyperscape. When they showcased Hyperscape, I was so disappointed that they
Mm,
wasted their
yeah.
time developing that. When you have tons of people playing Warzone, tons of people still playing PUBG, and you have one of the most popular quote unquote tactical shooters for the past 20 years and a name brand in Ghost Recon, and you're just allowing it to slowly, fizzle out and die because you refuse to either make it an 8v8, which I would have liked to seen with
Ugh.
Breakpoint, at least the 8v8,
Don't get me
with
started on the locked 4v4 on
right?
oversized maps for it being 4v4.
Make right, so, yeah, you have 4v4 still, you have no real game modes that can keep you engaged and involved. Uh, Going back to SOCOM, we keep name dropping SOCOM. I was playing all the way back then, breach mechanics, demolition mechanics, which was basically like steal the bacon with a bomb planted in the middle and you go and blow up the enemy territory. They had escort quests where one team had to kill the VIPs, the other team had to escort them. And I do know they did incorporate that, I believe, in Wildlands later on.
Yeah.
But there's
That
so
wasn't
many.
that mode wasn't it either.
It didn't really fly well. But
No.
there's so much more that I feel like Ghost Recon can offer in the forms of PvP, and I just know it's market. If you want an actual hard hitting Ghost Recon PvP game mode, it might have to come at the expense of the quote unquote name Battle Royale. And I think that's where they should be looking towards as far as like a standalone PvP game mode. Because does anybody even play Hyperscape? Honestly, is that popular? Did that
I
die?
don't think so. I mean, I could do a quick check on Twitch and see if anybody's even streaming it, but
Because
it was
because
most
I know that.
popular when they paid the big people to stream it.
Yeah,
And then
yes,
once
of
that was
course.
done,
Of course. But I feel like so many people are looking for that third person authentic tactical shooter feel like PUBG, but with the development and talent that Ubisoft brings, because they make polished games. They might not make the most um so what's the word I'm looking for? I guess like mechanically sound games,
yeah,
but it's still polished. You load into Breakpoint, there might be a bug and a bug, and it might be stupid drones, but at the end of the day, you move around and it's the mechanics, the animations, they're polished.
yeah.
Whether it's Assassin's Creed, Ghost Recon, For Honor, they make Immortals Phoenix Rising. Ubisoft makes some great polished third person mechanics. And to have that in a battle royale system for a Ghost Recon game that's standalone from any title, so it's worked on year after year by a team that just keeps it up and running.
Yep.
But then, I could be wrong. Maybe there's still the 14-year-old kids want to play Fortnite, and us older guys don't have the time to really put into that, and it dies, and I end up being wrong. I
I
don't know.
think, but that's the thing. Like even like we talked about this the other day. So for instance,
Exactly,
I
Hyperflow.
like Fortnite. Let me back up. Let
Yeah,
me
I
back
hear
up.
you. Fortnite has some damn good
Fortnite, if
shooting
it's
mechanics.
like you said, it is a great third person shooter. If you take the building mechanics away, I could dig that game.
Yeah.
That's the one thing I don't like about it. You call me old. You call me I can't play Fortnite because you can't build. Blah blah blah.
Well,
You can
whatever.
say what you
Yeah,
want,
we
but
just don't want to sit there and build for an hour to get in a 10-second
right,
gunfight.
right. So think. Let's just hypothetically throw this out. So you take the Wildlands map. I would almost say even like for a BR, like the entire Wildlands map, that would be. I think that might be
And,
just a bit
and people
much.
are dropping mercenaries, although it was only 8 man. Like they kind of were teasing, like, "Hey, this is the direction we
Yes.
might go in the future."
Yeah,
But
and
yeah,
I
continue.
asked one of the devs on the back end. I'm not even sure if I'm actually supposed to say this or not, but they said at one time that like using Wildlands, there was a BR concept, but they would have had to have changed too much of the underlying code of the game itself that it wasn't worth like building it off of Wildlands, like the
Well,
actual game itself.
boom! You just actually like uh
No screen grabs on that. No screen grabs.
you you just kind of seconded what I was saying. If they're gonna build a mode like that, it can't be connected to any standalone title. It's got to be its own thing, like Phantoms was.
Yeah. And just imagine this. So they have it down where the coding is right. You have the animations and the mechanics. I would say, I like we talked about the animations and like the actual movement mechanics of Breakpoint. I think are better than Wildlands.
Well, yes, definitely.
So you take that and then you
Or
go
at the
into
very least, if people don't like the how because in PvP, there's this kind of like weird sprint that it's kind of cheesy. If they can't fix that, at the very least, something in between Breakpoint and Future Soldier.
yeah. Yeah, and then like have I still think like the soft cover system in Breakpoint, I don't think you would go with like the sticky cover from Future Soldier or the sticky cover from the Division
Yeah,
in
this
like a
card, yeah,
BR. I would
Breakpoint
use like
works.
yeah, Breakpoint works. But think upon this. You have a like I said, I don't know if you would go Wildlands size map because that's a big map. That's a massive map. And the terrain isn't quite set up for like for instance, if you're not on a vehicle, you're screwed
Yeah,
because of there's a lot of stuff that you can't travel on foot because of
yeah.
just the way the map's built out. But you have a map that has a lot of the cool things from the Wildlands map. And then when you think of like when you were this, and I know this is kind of your thing, is you talk about or we talked about earlier with skins. So you have and it doesn't necessarily have to be like a Ghost Recon, but it could be like a Ghost Recon like style. It's with the BR, but you could basically have all of the skins from Rainbow Six. You can have all of the skins from all of the
The
Ghost
entire
Recon
catalog
games.
of
The
Ubisoft.
entire catalog. I mean, if you want to have an Assassin's Creed skin that actually allows you to have
People
weapons on
will
your
buy
back,
it, bro.
whatever. But
People
the
are
amount
buying
of just
freaking a God of War skins and playing them in Fortnite.
right. So like if you imagine every character that has ever been in a Ubisoft title being able to be a purchasable skin or an unlockable skin or anything like that. And with the character customization, like some people, they wouldn't care what their character looks like. Some of us, obviously, you would want your dude kitted out. Like for instance, the dude that I have in the gameplay right now, I tried to make him like sort of like a SOCOM Ranger with the blouse boots, the boonie hat, that kind of stuff. Just something a little bit different than I normally play. But being able to fully customize your character like that, or if, like I said, if you want to do icon skins, so you can have everybody from Splinter Cell, everybody from Ghost Recon,
Hmm.
everybody from
There's your
Assassin's
monetization right
Creed,
there.
Rainbow Six, even going back to like Rainbow Six Vegas, being able to have some of those cool customizations. Because like in Rainbow Six Vegas 2, you had the ability to have like armored on your character, which made him a really big target, but you could absorb a little more bullets and you could move a little bit quicker if you had less armor. And there was one outfit that I always wore in Rainbow Six Vegas 2 was where it looked like it was all like a spandex with a boonie hat and like a balaclava. My dude looked like he was slick, but he was
Yeah.
fast and he was agile. And even like customization stuff like that and have it doesn't necessarily have to be like 200 something players. Like, with Warzone, I don't even remember what Warzone's player count is now. Even if you could get 100 players on a good laid out, detailed map with vehicles that actually have decent mechanics. I mean, even the vehicles in Breakpoint, I wouldn't say that that's bad because 90% of the time you're not going to be in a vehicle. Like, obviously,
Yeah, so let's just go to A to B.
go to A to B. And then, like, I think with helicopters, that's a whole different story of helicopters, yay or nay. Obviously, a lot of the other BRs, you have them.
Yeah, if you
Um,
want to move into something like Battlefield or something.
yeah, but I think to get, because like I said, when you think of like a multiplayer shooter nowadays, you're gonna think of Fortnite, you're gonna think of Call of Duty, you're gonna think of Battlefield, and then you still have those people that play PUBG. When you think of like a multiplayer shooter game, you don't think of Ghost Recon.
And
I'm a Ghost Recon
that's
fan, and
sad.
you don't think of Ghost Recon.
Exactly. And that
Like
needs to change.
it does, because even going back to like the Future Soldier days, that was one of the at that time that multiplayer was hopping. If it would have been just a little bit more support, I don't even remember how the ranking system worked in there, but it wasn't like a Call of Duty ranking system for multiplayer needs to be a staple. You level up, you unlock guns, you unlock new character skins, you unlock new stuff for your character, blah blah blah. Have a replay value with a ranking system in multiplayer. And I don't know if Future Soldier had that, but just the gameplay loop in Future Soldier, it didn't need it. It didn't need it. It was so addictive. The conflict mode was so addictive. I don't. Did you ever play the conflict mode in Future Soldier? I know you said you
Uh,
played a little bit of Future
yeah,
Soldier, but
yeah. I had Future Soldier for a little bit on GameFly. So
mm-hmm.
I hopped in. I played a couple boards. I hopped in a multiplayer game or two, and then that was it.
Just that game mode with like it was rotating objectives. Like I have no idea why that's never came back. Obviously with 4v4, it wouldn't have been as much fun anyway with it being 4v4. Because I believe Future Soldier was at least, I know it was at least 6v6. It might have been 8v8. I don't remember. But being the fact that, like, right off the rip, you had to capture the middle point of the map, like a domination flag. And then as
Yeah.
soon as one of the two teams captured that, it rotated to, you have to escort one of one of the players on your team becomes a high value target, and all they have is a pistol, and you have to escort them to a zone on the map and defend him for 30 seconds for him to extract. And there was, like, I think it was like 8 or 9 different objectives that would rotate one after another after another after another right on the fly. And then whoever, you got points for completing set objectives, and then whoever had the most points after, I think it was like a 10-minute match or 15-minute match, whoever had the most points at the end would win the match. You did get like a slight bonus for kills, but if you just went for kills, it wasn't going to be enough to win the game if the other team was playing the objective.
Yeah.
I feel like that's
And
a mode
that's
that's
a good
just,
way to do it.
yeah, I feel like that mode was underrated, and there's no rhyme or reason that it's never came back. I don't know.
I
Supposed to
don't
be a
know,
couple of
man.
the devs were talking about that. I know, I'm trying to remember, one of the guys in Delta Company is a big PvP guy that I talk to a lot on the side, that they're not concentrating on PvP. So any of you guys in the chat that are hoping for more PvP, I don't think it's coming.
Yeah, at least for
Unfortunately,
Breakpoint.
not for
But
Breakpoint.
but the question is, even outside of PvP, but both PvP and PvE, are they going to try to design moving forward for more players to be able to play in the PvE mode, the PvP mode? Because at this point in time, if you're going head to head with giants who are allowing 100 people to play together.
Mm-hmm.
You're creating game modes of a bygone era and dropping SOCOM again. We were playing 8v8 in the first SOCOM. I think in SOCOM 3 we were playing 16v16. And then you fast forward 15 years and you're playing 4v4, and it's lackluster. It's like, this could be a lot better. And I'm just surprised that with this IP, there's nobody at Ubisoft saying, "Hey, we need to try to really push this game for PvP to kind of." You look at the Fortnite model and you say, "Hey, can we make something like this with skins and this and that?" Where I don't know, do we charge for it? Is it free to play? How's it going to work? Is it a total PvP? Is it 50v50, 10v10, 60? Like, are they even able to do that? Is the question, because everything Ubisoft seems to do is very, very small. Whether it's Rainbow Six, which is what, 5v5, and then
Yeah.
For Honor, I believe, is 4v4. Breakpoint 4v4, like, they don't have anything, so does it have to do with their coding,
I
their
wonder if it has
underlying
to like
structure on the back
the
end?
servers that they use or something. Like, you can get servers that would support a massive player base. That's
I
not
doubt it's
something that would
I
have.
doubt it's the servers.
Yeah.
I'm really starting to think that it's like their underlying whatever they're using to make these games, and whatever their back end code is. Obviously none of us are IT guys or whatever, or if you are, let it be known. But I assume it has to be something like that, because if you had the power to make a 10v10, you would do it, and you would just customize the map for 20 guys to be on it. But as it is now, we'll be going into a third game when it comes out. If the third game comes out and it's still four-player co-op or 4v4 PvP, you get to the point where, like, yo, guys, you're killing your own game, because we're out
Yep.
here playing 50v50.
Yeah, and I feel like part of the problem of the PvP is, I don't know if it's even Wildlands. Obviously, Wildlands PvP didn't come out at launch. It was 6-7 months after launch. But have dedicated maps for PvP. You don't necessarily have to use
Yes.
parts of the open world to
Yep.
turn them into PvP maps. Like,
No, it has to be dedicated
yeah,
maps.
like
You
have
you have
dedicated,
to
like,
design your
balanced,
map specifically
right. And that's the
for
way it
each
was in,
game
in
mode.
Future Soldier. Like, the Future Soldier maps were kind of like, I would not say that they were balanced, because there were, um, what would you call them? Like power positions. But I mean, any like Call of Duty has power positions. I mean, if
Yeah,
there's a spot in the map that you want to try to hold that down and gives you an advantage, great.
yeah,
But thinking back to, I know some people in the chat were talking about, like, let's get a Ghost Recon Advanced Warfighter 3. Don't play with my emotions like that. But the multiplayer maps in Graw were like, some of them were not balanced, but there were some of them, I'm trying to remember, like, I think one was called Headquarters, and it was literally like a mirror. on both sides. So it's like you had the same stuff on both sides, and that one was like straight tactical because and in that game there wasn't even a cover system, and it was more tactical than like the PvP that we have, now. And there wasn't even a cover system in that. And I do say that that one has very fond memories because, like, for instance, that one, it was like somebody would be the host of the game. It wouldn't like match make. There was no, I don't believe there was matchmaking in that game. So you would like search and invite people, and you would get, maybe there was like small matchmaking, but you could custom set up the rules for the match. And I know in Graw 2, pistols only capture the flag was insane. I can't even tell you how many, the hundreds of hours I played of capture the flag pistols only. And it was a good game. I mean, obviously if you went back and played it now, there's some, definitely some big nostalgia glasses that you're going to have to wear when you do it, cuz it doesn't play how I remember how it played.
Yeah,
But
it didn't age well.
yeah, and I think like moving forward, there definitely needs to be a bigger concentration on PvP. Don't pull from PvE, because there's a massive, obviously the massive community that's on it right now is mostly PvE because there ain't been nothing going on with PvP. But you got to show some love to the PvP, and if you get it out there and you market it and you have a good PvP with good replay value, good tactics, good maps, a good progression system, you'd see Ghost Recon way higher up on Twitch. You would see it, bigger people playing it. You might get new players, a bigger player base, just because the PvP is there. There's
Yep.
so many people that like, yo, has Ghost Recon got a good PvP? No, it's not that good. They're not even gonna touch it
No,
because
yeah, exactly.
they don't play campaign, they don't play PvE. They're strictly PvP players, and this game don't have it. Wildlands had, I think, better of a PvP.
I
At
agree.
least that
Even
had a
though,
good class, the multiple class systems, and the maps were obviously still direct cutouts of parts of the PvE map,
yeah,
which,
but the class system worked well.
yes, yep,
And I'm actually more in favor of how they did it in Breakpoint because I don't like being pigeonholed into anything.
right.
But seeing Breakpoint and Wildlands worked way better. But here's something that is interesting from what where is it? I think Craig Barlow said it right here. Ubisoft might put Ghost Recon on the back burner because now with Massive doing Star Wars
Oh, I
and
hope not.
AC being so successful,
Yeah.
you might get to the point where, Ubisoft management takes Paris and is like, we want you to help Massive. We want, and Paris becomes the secondary team to help other franchises, and Ghost Recon kind of gets put on hold for a while. Oof, that would hurt. That would hurt.
Mm-hmm.
As far as an Arma type open world survival game, we would have to define survival. I don't think anybody would mind Ghost Recon having the mechanics being a little more realistic and more milsim, but we'd have to define survival because A Squad and I talk about that a lot when it comes down to, do people want to gather things to eat, drink water to survive, like things like that. I'm not sure if people care about that. I know I hated collecting flowers in Breakpoint. It made absolutely no sense. And
Yeah.
so, you'd have to define what you mean by survival mechanics, and we'd have to see what works.
Yeah, and I think that would even be like an option if they say, they're going to put Breakpoint on hold, is there's a lot of customization and mods that what you could do with Arma, and you could basically create something as close to what you would want Ghost Recon to be in Arma, just with the different mods and activating
Yeah.
certain mods. And there's multiple different maps, with Arma mod. um but I think like with the core mechanics of Arma might be a little bit on the too realistic side for some of the community. I know there's some of the community that would be like, "Yo, give me Arma for console. Let's do it. Like,
Mhm.
give me that." But
A lot of people ask, "Yo, is this on console?"
right, right, and it's I honestly like with the new consoles, I kind of don't see why it couldn't be.
I think
But
it's
like,
just keybind issues.
right, because I know people were talking about that in chat, is like trying to play Arma with a controller. It ain't it.
Yeah, it's
Like, it's,
impossible.
yeah. So
There's so many little things that you could do in Arma
right.
that you don't even realize it until you actually sit down with the keyboard and realize, "Oh my god."
See, now that's another thing that, like, too, if it would even be a possibility. I know, like, when I play modern, or not Modern Warfare, I played Black Ops Cold War recently, and I turn matchmaker crossplay. I turn it off because I don't want to be playing against PC players. Like,
Yeah.
I play Call of Duty on the Xbox Series X, and I would prefer to play against other people on controller. But it's like 90% of the people I play against that are playing on Xbox are playing on mouse and keyboard. They
Oh,
just
that's
hook their mouse
interesting.
and keyboards up to the console. Now, if there was a way to port Arma, like for instance the Xbox Series X and the PS5, I think they could handle Arma, and then
Oh,
but
they
they
could.
would basically, you would almost be sort of like
Most.
locked to go get a mouse and keyboard and hook it up to your console.
Yeah.
But I think there would be a decent amount of the community that would be like, "Yo, you put Arma on the console, I'll go pick up a mouse and keyboard, or I'll unhook my mouse and keyboard from my PC or whatever, because my
I mean,
PC can't run Arma." You
look,
know, and
we could just be very, very honest here. If Ubisoft Paris would move away from tiered loot boxes, robot drones, and get back to a place where it felt like a squad-based tac shooter, even if they want to go down more of the stealth route, which they've been going down, the majority of people would be happy, especially since now nobody is really even, like the expectations are set so low that they could do the bare minimum of the setting, the narrative, making sense, and people would be happy.
right,
And you wouldn't even have, "Oh, is armor here or there?" It'd just be like, "Oh, cool, Ghost Recon is back where it should be." Um, um, shooting guns. I'm not putting on hats that have +5 to cheat tree chopping. This
yeah.
plant doesn't turn into a grenade when I craft it. Somehow, magically, I'm gonna, craft a rocket at a bivouac right now. I'm gonna weld it together, and then, it's like some things just don't work for this franchise, and I understand a lot of these developers are trying to push for these MMO type mechanics where you're gathering things and you're building things and you're crafting things and you're getting, there's a treasure chest here, and oh my god, it's so exciting what's in this treasure chest. But that's not the pulse of the Ghost Recon community. And if they could
Right.
just get back to somewhere where it's more grounded in realism, the majority of the people will be happy with that. Now, having said that, the community has to meet them halfway when it comes to what developers need to do to ensure their games sell, they keep you playing it, and hopefully keep you buying things. Because at the end of the day, they're still trying to make money. So
Yeah.
we can't want to have our cake and eat it too. We have to understand that, hey, maybe your Cry G3 shirt, you got to buy it, suckers.
Yeah. Yeah, I was salty about that. Like, obviously I
Hey,
bought it. I bought it,
everybody,
but some people
everybody.
don't buy. Some people, like, they just want to play this game and they want to customize their characters on, how they
Well,
want.
that's the thing. I think that model of game design is dead. It's dead.
Yeah.
You're never gonna get developers that make a game where you come into the game, everything's unlocked, and you just play it.
Oh, yeah, it's never gonna happen. Like,
Those
even
were that was 20 years ago with SOCOM. You know what you did? You played the game, you beat the game, and then you played it on a harder difficulty.
Yep.
Like that, those days are dead. Now it's all about keeping you engaged, keeping you making things, and hopefully we can get you into the store because this grind is too hard and you want to just purchase something because you don't have enough time to play it. That sucks. And if they do that, they have to do that with a game that at least is fucking awesome. Excuse my language.
Yeah.
If the game is awesome, it's like, okay, it is what it is. I understand it's a business model. This is what you're trying to do, but the game has to be awesome. I don't want to see Sith Lords, i.e., the wolves. I don't want to see guys running around in masks and capes. I don't want to see, robot drones flying in the air, coming down and electrocuting me in a raid. I don't want to see I don't wanna see huge behemoth drones that have no actual purpose in the game world other than this drone is protecting a blueprint for me to make a gun. Like, I don't wanna
Yeah.
see any of these things that make no sense. You give
Yeah.
me something that makes perfect sense for a Ghost Recon game. It's gritty, it's grimy, it's a real good tac shooter, squad-based commands are legit. Then I could turn around and say, "Damn, this thing is in the store. Okay, you gave me one, I'll give you one."
Yeah. Yep. And we kind of got off on a little tangent there. Um, but now kind of moving on to, and I don't even know, I don't know if you talked about this while I was gone for a sec, but now we're gonna kind of move into um, Moa Island is not coming to Ghost Recon Breakpoint at least in 2021. Whether or
Well,
not that means that they're gonna try somehow to do it year 3 in 2022, which I personally I don't think so, based on kind of what we're getting now. Doesn't mean it's not going to happen, but we did get, and this is, and like I said, I'm trying to think how I want to put this. UB if you're watching this, you talked about this. I don't, uh, we got confirmation from UB Bard over on Reddit of all places. We didn't get an official statement from Ghost Recon or the devs on Twitter or on their website or on their official
they
forums.
they finally came over and said it on the
Oh, did
forums.
they? They did say it on the forums. So
Uh,
we originally got.
and after the forums blew up, then they finally came on the forums. I think it was yesterday or today, I forget.
Got you. Yeah, because I know that when you talked about it, and then you had the picture from UB Bard, which, to be honest, that was the second thing that sort of got confirmed on a Reddit thread by a community manager from Ghost Recon. Obviously, the Ghillie Hoods was basically confirmed over on Reddit of all places by UB Bard, and then we had the official statement declaring that Moa Island wasn't coming, and we yeah, obviously if it's on the forums now, we got official confirmation on an official like area that confirms that it's not coming, and like I would say quote unquote it was too much of an undertaking is kind of what I heard to do it, because I have the video clip saved. I would have to go through my files, and I don't know if I could pull it up on stream real quick, but that was one of the things the devs talked about in the reveal live stream. I've used it in multiple videos where they talked about the map expansion in future updates, and they basically said, quote unquote, there are teases on the in-game map right when you start Ghost Recon Breakpoint that teases new locations that'll probably be coming down the road. Wink, wink. Like two of the devs were like, "Yeah, it's there. It's kind of hinting at it," and it was Moa Island. It was covered in clouds.
Technically, they could say Gollum because Gollum is
Yeah, yeah,
official.
but it wasn't covered in clouds. I don't think Gollum Island you could physically see, couldn't you?
I think Gollum was it there?
I don't remember. I'd have to go back and look.
Up like Moa,
But how do you put an entire massive island with a name and then you shroud it in clouds? And
and it doesn't come for 3 years.
yeah, like, and I'm not trying to like be disrespectful. I know it was been a bumpy road. I know, COVID happened. I get it. But that was one of the biggest things that the community wanted. And well, I wouldn't say, I mean, I think they've talked about it, that they wanted this other location because at this point, it's Aroa is a big place, but I don't think Aroa is built out as right and as good as Wildlands map of Bolivia was built out.
I
And
think the go ahead.
people are just, I think, a little bit bored, and they wanted something new to explore with a possibility of maybe new biomes, new bases, possibly new enemies, and just having another location to explore. That's one of the coolest parts, at least for me, like with Wildlands, was like the first, I don't know, I would say like the first 3 weeks when Wildlands came out. I did like the first mission, and then once you got to the point where, you got the first cutscene when you brought the dude back to Bowman and the other guy, I didn't play any missions. I spent like the next 3 weeks just exploring and getting lost in Bolivia. And I didn't quite do that in this game. And I think that's what people wanted, is that experience of exploring something new that they haven't seen yet. And we get these announcements of two big DLCs coming, and then we get the dagger of Moa Island isn't going to be included in that.
Well, I think a major problem with the design of the game and the reason why a lot of us enjoyed the biomes and wildlands more is the fact that every province and every building in Breakpoint is so similar. Even if you separate scale sites and Cold War sites, there's all still so similar. All the scale sites, all the Cold War sites, they're all so similar that you get to a point where after you play, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 hours you're in, it's like, I can't really tell if I'm at the northern part of the map or the southern part of the map because all this kind of really feels the same.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think a lot of us were expecting maybe Moa Island to bring a little variety to the game and for us to have to wait now yet another year. I don't even think they're I don't even think Mo's gonna come out. I think they're just gonna drop it.
Yeah. Yeah.
We'll see. Oh, Stabby McStabs Gaming, $10
I
donation. Everybody
see
shout out to
that.
Stabby.
Yeah, coming in late. What about more realistic weapons handling ballistics, i.e., why I can't run my weapon in semi as fast as I can pull the trigger, or rounds dropping 200% at 100 meters? Your thoughts? Yeah, the ballistics. I don't. I
Oof,
honestly feel like the ballistics are. I would say almost they're
worse.
better, but worse.
Do you
Like
think
there was some
they're
crazy bullet drop in Wildlands,
oh,
but
yeah, but but it was consistent.
yeah. Oh,
Like, I
real quick on
remember
it.
in Wildlands at 300 meters, I was dead on accurate.
Yeah,
Once I got a little past there, but not only the ballistics, the problem I have with Breakpoint is the ballistics as well as the rendering.
yeah,
So you're looking 400 meters out, you go to shoot a guy and you're not hitting him, and then you move 50 meters in and you realize, oh shit, there's a wall in front of him that's not rendering or a fence. I get that issue sometimes on PC with my settings up. I don't know how it is on console or if you're playing with like a 3090, but there are some rendering issues that I get as well. As
yeah.
far as ballistics, the gunplay feels good,
Yeah,
but
yeah, the way the gunplay feels in this, and like I told you, I got too used to Breakpoint because I was doing a little bit of testing with the recording features the other day, and I jumped back on Wildlands and I emptied it. I mag dumped an ACR at a Unidad patrol and didn't hit him because I was too used to the way the
you were a little
ballistics.
off.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
used to the way the ballistics and Breakpoint work, and they are definitely different from Wildlands with how much you have to lead a target if they're moving or like the bullet drop or whatever. Because yeah, I had a 50 round magazine in an ACR and I did not hit the dude once,
See, I feel like the bullet drop
which
is worse than Breakpoint.
see I don't really use snipers in Breakpoint though, so I
Well,
don't know.
that's where I'm coming from. I would use snipers a lot more in Wildlands because I felt like it was consistent. I come into Breakpoint and it's like, I don't know, everything just feels weird. It just feels a lot more weird. And he's talking about, let me see, what is Stab even saying? He's getting at 100 meters, all of a sudden he's getting bullet drop. Now we have to take into consideration how they designed this game. So you have to assume 300 meters plus, those are your that's your sniper distance.
Yeah.
So sometimes you have to take into consideration how they're trying to balance it. So at 100 meters, maybe they want a little bullet drop because technically 300 meters are your sniper shots or, two
Yeah, but
plus.
I feel like I don't know how crazy I would get with the balancing of that. It's PvE, the PvE side of things. Because when it comes to like that, you have your different types of gun, but that like for instance, and I've said this thousands of times, and I'll not sound like a broken record, but if you look at like Escape from Tarkov, all of that is determined by the bullet. So if you have a 5.56 round, you have a 7.62 round, you have a an AK round.
So
Um, yeah, and then you have those different rounds. That's what determines its velocity because obviously the gun it shoots a 5.56, but when that hammer hits the bullet, the bullet does the rest. And depending on what type of bullet, what caliber the bullet is where you're going to get your velocity. And, with that, obviously, your bullet drop and your bullet penetration, which for those of you that have never played Escape from Tarkov, the way the ballistics work in that game, you're not going to find a better game out there when it comes to actual like ballistics on bullet drop, bullet penetration versus armor, bullet damage versus flesh, that kind of stuff. Woof. I wish all games could do that in depth with the ballistics, especially being the fact that that entire studio has less than 100 devs. And they have that intricate, like the weapon customization. You're not going to find another game out there that has weapon customization like that either. And then with the ballistics,
LC said here too with double rendered scopes. So you have your outside world. This is what I assume he means, right? So you have your outside world outside of the scope, and then when you actually look in the scope, you have a second rendering of the world, so it actually looks magnified.
right?
Like they have
Which,
that in Tarkov.
yes, yep. And just like the simple things of like, for instance, with like how you build out a weapon. There's you like obviously you want to go for recoil control because obviously the lower recoil the weapon has, the more accurate it's going to be. But when you do that, if you wanted to go like max recoil control on a weapon, the ergonomics of that weapon are probably not going to be that good. With high ergonomics on your weapon, it basically gives you better handling. Your reloads will be a little bit quicker. Your aim down sight speed is going to be a little bit quicker. You're going to have a little bit snappier aim because the overall ergonomics of the weapon is better. Your recoil control might not be there, but that's kind of like in your end game. Escape from Tarkov is one of your big main things when it comes to kitting out a weapon. Obviously, certain guns like the HK, if you build it out right, that thing's a laser beam anyway. It's just the way that weapon is. But it just depends on how you want to play. If you want that real fast, snappy ADS and that kind of stuff, you want to go with a weapon with high ergo. Or if you just want to be able to put a lot of shots down range and you're going to be kind of holding a position, you don't really need that fast ADS speed, you build one out for recoil control. And with the amount of mods is in Tarkov is just, dude, it's insane how many mods they have in there, and they're right. Like, they are physically like the modeled of real life mods. All the weapons are like the official real life weapons and the different ammo types that they have, and it's all by a studio that, like I said, it has less than 100 devs. And
Yeah, but
then
is that an American studio?
no, I'm pretty sure they're Russian.
Okay, well,
I'm pretty sure.
I'm trying to figure
I'm
out,
sure if I'm wrong,
do,
somebody will correct me in the chat.
Is Paris limited in their availability of guns, or as developers they can get permits in France to go shoot so they could understand what they're creating?
No idea. Because I know you
That's a
kind of talked
question I'd
about
like
that the
to
other day with like some of the customization things. It feels like it's modeled after airsoft and not actual weapons. Because there's a difference. And then it's like some of the stuff. And I think even like in Tarkov, they did something like that as a meme. They put a ballistic helmet in the game that looks exactly like a Cry helmet, but it physically says that it has absolutely no armor and it's an airsoft replica, like sort of as a meme. And then you get a lot of these new players that see this helmet and they're like, yo, I got a Cry combat helmet, and they put it on and it does nothing. Like a shotgun pellet's going to go through it because it's an airsoft replica. It's not the real thing. And I think I don't know what like the laws and all that stuff is over there, but I know. And then you get into like the licensing. I don't know if they want to pay for the licensing. Because like for
Yeah.
instance in Escape from Tarkov, everything in there is like, official, like the Colt M4, and then you have, the next one they're coming in the next update. They're finally bringing the Scar. I think they're bringing the Scar L and the Scar H in the next update with the full smorgasbord of mods for that individual weapon that's in real life, like
Mm.
all of your attachments and your stocks and everything. And
Do you think
it's
we'll be getting more weapons moving forward in these next two title updates for Breakpoint?
I don't know. At this point, like there's a pretty big variety of weapons, and I feel like they're going to be very centered on what they're bringing when it comes to DLC. Obviously, like the AI update's going to be centered around those, and then the final update of in the fall. Who knows? Who knows what it's
So
going to be? I mean,
so let's get into that. Right. So now we basically Moa Island, whatever, everyone's disappointed. I thought the second title update was going to be Moa Island because it was supposed to be a quote unquote huge operation. So I thought the Bowman thing would be coming with Moa, but it's not. So should we expect for Bowman coming back? Do you think it's a selling point to keep us engaged and maybe bringing some people over to the game if they haven't bought it already? Do you think they've kind of run out of ideas and they're like, "Hey, let's just bring Bowman back?" Because basically they wanted to do this whole transcendence thing and robots and this, and I feel like they completely abandoned that. Do you think
yeah.
Bowman is kind of like a curveball out of nowhere to kind of reconnect with so many people on the forums, on Reddit, who've been saying Wildlands was better, blah blah blah. We should have got Wildlands 2.0. So they basically said, "Hey, let's do this title update with Bowman." What do you think about that?
I definitely think they're trying to kind of, I don't know if this is the right term or not, but hit you in the feels. To give you something recognizable from a game that a lot of people talk very highly of.
A little nostalgia.
Yeah, and then you hit like, okay, you bring in Karen Bowman, and you're like, okay, what does this have to do? Like, are we tying in with Wildlands? It kind of gives a lot of people that really enjoyed the Wildlands story, and I personally think like Karen Bowman as your contact and the way the cutscenes and the story and everything kind of fell out in Wildlands, I thought it was really good. And I think when you throw the character Karen Bowman out there, which technically is not her real name, for those of you that have played the campaign in Wildlands, that's not really her real name. It's an alias, which obviously she still has. It didn't change after Wildlands. She's still quote
Well,
unquote
for
Karen
us,
Bowman,
yeah, for us, we still know her as Bowman.
right? Because obviously Sam Fisher, it was
Hope not, Quint.
who was it? What'd Sam Fisher call it?
Yeah,
Linda.
Fish.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Fisher
something.
called her Linda, and then it was Karen Bowman now. And I think even in the opening cutscene, that her thing was she was like an undercover thing, and her alias was Karen Bowman. But I think that is them trying to like kind of hit you in the feels, give you something recognizable from a game that you liked. But I honestly have no idea where they're gonna go with it. Like why bring back Bowman?
A lot of people are saying they're gonna try to tie it into a Wildlands 2.
Possible.
Same way they did Walker at the end of Wildlands. Maybe this will tie into the next game.
Yeah, and not to like to completely just copy Wildlands, but I would totally be okay with, and especially when it comes to an environment, because you're going to have environments more similar to Wildlands in Bolivia. I would be totally okay with the ending of Wildlands, where you know El Sueño escapes and he goes to El Salvador and starts up another crazy cartel, and then we got to try to go in and get his ass again. Like I honestly would be okay with that. I know a
I'm
lot of people want to see the Middle East. A
I'll
lot
play
of people.
devil's advocate on that, and I'll say no.
What?
I'll play devil's advocate on that. I'm gonna say no.
I mean, it doesn't necessarily like. For instance, it doesn't have to be El Sueño, but I know the big thing that I see every single day in my comments is people want to go to the Middle East. I
Yes.
think that would be cool, but obviously the backlash that Ghost Recon got from the Bolivian government. For those of you guys that may not have read into that, the Bolivian government was pissed.
Yeah. So then, how are they gonna do El Salvador?
That's a good point. Maybe El
Like,
Salvador wouldn't be as offended by it. I don't
yeah.
know. But like that's a really touchy subject if you want to try to go to the Middle East. If you want to try to go to the Middle East, you're not going to have the like the biome diversity in the Middle East, because I mean that's you're going to have some mountains and you're going to have some deserts and some scrubs, like a little bit of the bush and scrubs, but like that's about it. It's going to be a lot of tan and a lot of yellow and sand and like not a whole lot else. And for those people that are saying that they would love to see, like in Breakpoint, we had the cutscenes or the early cutscenes of Walker and Josiah Hill and Nomad and stuff in the Middle East. We already know how it ends with Walker. I don't want to go back and relive some of the other parts. That's just my personal opinion, because we already know kind of how it turns out, which is kind of really screwed up.
Yeah.
Especially for those of you out there that were big fans of Weaver, we all know how we feel about Walker. So I don't know. I back to what the topic started at with Bowman. It's either trying to hit you with the nostalgia, because it was obviously a pretty main character in Wildlands, or it could be more content coming in 2022, but they're kind of trying to stem into something that possibly could lead in the direction of another game. Because Bowman as your contact, I don't think a lot of people had any complaints about that. She did a good
Yeah.
job.
Wildlands was pretty legit for what it was, with Ghost Recon moving into the open world and changing its formula. But let's
Yeah,
not get buried. We got another Stabby
I see
McStabby.
that. Yeah,
Aladono. Shout out to Stabby. Let's get some love for Stabby in chat,
yeah,
guys.
yeah. Love for Stabby, man. I appreciate the support, man. But it basically continued. Says, sorry to put you on the spot like that. It just frustrates me knowing that I should be able to hit something at a set distance, and it's like I'm slinging BBs and not rounds. That I think is a balancing thing, because if you really think about it, if you had like a high velocity round, even if it was a 5.56, it's it's gonna go. I don't think you're gonna have a crazy amount of bullet drop, even at like 200 meters, depending on obviously which round you're using. You get up into your 7.62, or even your 7.62 by 39, 7.62 by 51, 7.62 by 54, that kind of stuff. It's gonna go,
I
and I
think it,
feel as if they can't do like realistic ballistics when it comes to ranges, because then you're into that thing like you were talking about. Then you're talking about rendering
yeah.
issues.
Stabby, you have to look at it like this, dude. Right? You have to come to the conclusion that 300 plus meters is your sniping distance. So if you're at 100, 150, 200, It's not a one-on-one like real life. You could take the M4 and maybe shoot up to 300 meters accurately. You have to assume 100 meters, 150, 200. You're reaching the upper echelon of distance that the game wants you to be at to engage. The devs want you to engage from 0 to 300 meters because at once you start moving past that, you get crazy bullet drop and you get insane amount of rendering issues. So, I definitely understand where you're coming from with that, and you're right. And from someone who purchased Arma recently, has been playing Arma, it is something that I feel like Ubisoft should be able to tackle moving forward because now their next game they're making for PC, PS5, Xbox Series X, they're going to be able to do things that they've been limited by hardware with in the
Yeah.
past. So, hopefully in the next game, if we get one, God willing, because I know we're all huge fans of the franchise,
Yeah, I
and
think I think we will, but it's
yeah, I
just like
think so.
how long? How long is
I
it
don't
going to take? Because there's a bunch of other Ubisoft games that are sort of on the, we
well,
got
let's
the Beyond Good and Evil, and Assassin's Creed sold amazingly, and they're going to want to do that again as fast as possible.
well, I'm gonna assume Assassin's Creed, if they go with the same type of timeline, will be, 2022, right? Because they flip that game every 2 years.
Hmm.
I would assume that they wanted to do the same thing with Ghost Recon at this point. Maybe they'll take an extra year off to try to just make sure it's good to go. But For Honor could get a new game. They've been rocking that for a long time.
Yeah.
We all know Far Cry 6 is coming out,
Ah, that's right. I forgot about Far Cry. Yeah.
and, I don't know about Watch Dogs. So, I mean, I don't
I
know.
don't know how Watch Dogs Legion was received. I haven't really seen a whole lot on that. Like if it was like received really well, this is a decent player base. Watch Dogs 2 was actually received insanely well and had a pretty good player base.
Yeah,
It was kind of like the Assassin, like Watch Dogs 1 came out, it was a good concept, it did not hit the mark. Watch Dogs 2 came out, was fantastic. Same way Assassin's Creed. The first Assassin's Creed, a lot of people liked it, but it had a lot of like quality of life things that were really bad.
yeah.
Assassin's Creed 2 came out and just blew it out of the water. So
Well, the
I
first Watch Dogs also suffered from bugs.
yeah,
Once
and I think too
things
many people tried to compare it to GTA, just
that
with the
that
stealing cars and
that as well.
yeah. But I'm trying to see if I can't get back here to the comments. Somebody said something that I was trying to look at here. Hold on. Oh, somebody was talking about. I think it was structure was talking about what you talked about the other day. He said that Ghost Recon: The Beginning or Origins, something like a prequel, like the
Yes.
start of Ghost Recon, which
That's where I think they should go for the future.
yeah, and drop the tags. It's not Wildlands. It's not Breakpoint. It's not Future Soldier. Like with what Call of Duty did. You had your big reboot in 2019. It was strictly Call of Duty Modern Warfare.
Yeah.
You have a new Ghost Recon game. You go back to the origins, but have your character customization on point, have your weapon customization on point. Like I don't know if they're going to go that far, but I would like to see some Escape from Tarkov style customization when it comes to the guns.
Yeah.
Ballistics, you're probably not going to get the ballistics, but hey,
I
we
don't
can.
I don't know. I
But
think
just call it Ghost
well,
Recon.
well, yeah, that would work. Even Ghost Recon Origins, I don't know. But I don't know if they're gonna go in that direction. But like I said, with them moving forward with better hardware, the ballistics should be improved moving forward, all depending on how they want to design. Because if the hardware can now support it, you should be able to engage normally at 200 meters, 300 meters,
Yeah,
and a sniper shot 5, 6, 7, 8, 900. Like you should really be able to have those draw distances reach far, far limits meters wise and really push the boundaries of this game tactically. So when you engage up close, you're actually engaging up close and you could feel the difference between 50, 100 meters and 500 meters. That
yeah,
would be really, really awesome if they could do that. As far as Tarkov type mechanics with uh different types of modifications for your weapon or the what is it? The picture in picture for the scopes. I
Yeah, dual
don't know
render.
about
Yeah,
that. I think that I don't know how picture in picture works as far as engine issues or what they have to create for that,
yeah,
but
yeah. Before we go any further, Stabby McStabs with another $10 donation. Huge,
well,
huge shout out, man. Love the support. But it says I have an M16A4 clone converted to a Mark 12 with 62 gram M855. I can touch out to 550 to 600 with a velocity of 2,800 plus feet per second. I understand that the devs want, but geez, lol. Thanks for you hearing me.
yo, and
See,
you know what?
and that's a kidded. That's kidded, and I
Yeah,
think
but this is the problem. The problem is guys like Stabby who are gun lovers, who are out there purchasing guns, modifying their weapons, and then you come into Ghost Recon, and at 100 meters, you're getting bullet drop, and you're like, "What the hell
yeah,
is going on here?"
yep,
You have to realize it's not a one-on-one, replication. Once you get to 300 meters in the Ghost Recon series at this point, you have to assume that's your, 1 mile sniper shot.
yeah,
Because anything past that, you start getting unrealistic bullet drop and rendering issues.
yep.
So I hear you, Stabby. I hear you. You're just not gonna get, engaging at 600 meters in Ghost Recon. It's just not happening.
Yeah,
Especially with the way the game is designed. They're not even designing for that type of combat at this point. When you look at where they've taken the franchise, they want you, engaging at 50 meters, 20 meters, stealth at, 2 feet away, doing stealth moves and having this mixing matching of Splinter Cell and Ghost Recon, kind of combining the gameplay from both. So you have the best of both worlds. They haven't designed this game for you to be 400 meters out and engage the enemies. Have you actually tried to engage the enemies at that far out? The AI doesn't even act accordingly. They don't know what to do.
yeah,
You shoot the AI from 300 meters plus, they're just like they'll just sit behind a rock forever.
yeah,
Just sit.
and I feel like too, like with even with like kind of branching from that with like the AI mechanics, if you shoot from 300 meters with a suppressed weapon, and then they sort of do like the alert state, and they still if they do come out of cover, they come running right to you. Like if you get shot at from over 300 meters away with a suppressed weapon, there's a good chance that you're not going to have a damn clue where that came from. But with the way the AI works, you don't necessarily get detected, but they just kind of auto move to where that shot came from.
Yes, there's
Obviously,
definitely.
if you have an unsuppressed weapon, I totally get that. I get that. But like, I don't know. And even in Wildlands, like for instance, on in the gameplay that you guys are watching now, the the train graveyard, it's on the desert, the salt flats. There's a rock, there's a sniper position where at the start of this gameplay I took out a sniper. You can go up there with an unsuppressed MSR and take out this entire train yard without alerting anybody. Like they don't like which is only at maximum. I think the farthest enemy is 600 meters. Maybe a little maybe it's further than that. Maybe it's 700 meters. But you're telling me that you got all these dudes down in a train graveyard that doesn't hear an unsuppressed MSR go off from 600 meters away? Like one shot from that should alert that entire place. There's no way they don't hear that. And it's just, I mean, little things like that, which then you're going to be kind of getting into the, is it too realistic for the
No,
casual? Which I
no,
don't
it's
think.
it's not. It's not too realistic at all. It
And
it,
then
it
you
has
have
to
like,
do
for
their
instance,
AI programming is not the best, dude.
right, and then like for instance, on the other token of that, I'm going around in the train graveyard with a suppressed ACR. Yeah, it's quiet, but if I shoot that suppressed ACR anywhere near that graveyard, they're gonna hear it. It's
Yeah,
not that
they
quiet.
should.
If they're
They
within like
should.
100 meters, you're gonna hear it. You might not be able to tell what direction it came from, but you're gonna hear it. So like even a suppressed pistol is loud enough that if you're within like 50 meters of it in a base, you're gonna hear it. So like then you like I said, you are kind of there's a fine line between making it fun for the casual, but don't completely alienate the people that want it to be, somewhat
I,
realistic.
I don't even you know what I don't even think it's a casual thing. I just think their AI programming is not up to snuff, man.
Yeah.
They don't have the mechanics in the game to ensure that if you engage from a certain distance, they will hide, pop smoke, which there's not even smoke in the game, and try to flank your position. It's either the AI doesn't register where you are and they're lost, or they know exactly where you are and they run straight to you. And that's something they tried to fix in Breakpoint that was really bad in Wildlands. You could use mortars in Wildlands, get alerted, and they'd know where you are with a
Yeah.
mortar round. So
Yep.
there are definitely AI issues. Let's get back to Stabby. We lost this thing with another $5 donation. You
Yeah.
want to read that off?
Yeah. It says, yeah, you make a solid point, and I can't argue it. Trying to support you guys. Y'all got a Discord. Yes, we both have Discords. We
Stabby,
will.
we both have Discords, brother.
Yeah, we'll throw some links out or something here before the end of the stream for Discord. So I have to shrink back down the screen in the live stream here real quick because the everything that you guys are watching in Breakpoint is actually captured in 1440p, and for some reason with the way Wildlands is optimized, I can only capture that in 1080p. So I had to reorganize the screen size there.
Oh yeah, yeah. There you go. Give it a look.
But
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
but
That
people were
looks
like
good.
wondering in the chat if that was Wildlands gameplay, and that's the thing too is I can't go back to that because I have like an entire playlist kind of going in the background of a bunch of different gameplays and stuff, and it would totally screw up the entire list of things. But
That's Wildlands gameplay though.
yeah, but like when you looked at that, I almost feel like in Breakpoint, there's always like I understand it's a tropical island, I get that, but like the I wouldn't call it smog because it's not smog, but it's like fog. You have the fog that you never have a really far draw distance. And in that train graveyard at the very start of that gameplay, I have no idea why they do it, but you have like those random explosions that happen off in the distance in Wildlands that was so far away and you could see it clear as day because there isn't that like super fogginess in the distance that totally hinders your draw distance. It was almost feel like it was a design mechanic in the game
Yeah.
to cut down on like RAM usage or something like that is just make it super blurry way off in the distance because of the haze, which isn't really there in Wildlands. And I think your draw distance in Wildlands, why you get some of those crazy, those crazy shots in the distance of like the mountains and then the salt flats and all that stuff, because the draw distance and the graphics at range are so much better. But
Yeah, draw distance and rendering was way better in Wildlands.
yeah,
My farthest sniper shot in Wildlands was like 815 meters, something like that, 811. I haven't even bothered I haven't even tried to do that in Breakpoint. I don't even care
yeah,
because once I forget like 400, 500, I get to a certain point and things just aren't rendering for me. Like a
yeah,
fence won't render and I'll see the guy, but the fence will be in front of him and it won't render and there'll be issues like that.
yeah. Also, huge shout out to Ghost Lab Gaming. We played with him in Breakpoint the other night, didn't we?
Yeah,
Wasn't
Ghost
he
Lab,
there?
what's up, brother?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. He's been hollering at us in the
Very
chat.
glad
So
you stopped by, hanging out, throwing out questions. This is awesome.
yep. So next topic. Trying to think of what the next topic could be here. Kind of keep this rolling because this is actually pretty fun.
Shout out to the two people who dislike the stream. I see you.
What? We got some dislikes up in here?
Shout out to the haters.
Shout out to the haters.
I see you.
Oh man. Yeah, I feel like I mean, I don't know. I mean, maybe we could even get into talking about like some things like I don't know how much DLC we're going to get past what they've announced for the 2021 roadmap. I guess it's all depends on what they get for a player base for those updates because supposedly, and I don't know if it was because there was a free weekend or if they count just like somebody maybe like logging in and trying to download the game, it counted as somebody playing it. I
Oh
don't
yeah,
know.
yeah,
But during the Amber Sky live event that was like what 2 million players,
yeah.
2+ million players played the Amber Sky
Played
live
it.
event.
Yeah.
Man, I don't.
That also coincide with a free weekend.
Right,
So
right,
people
right.
just seeing it's free want to try it out, so
Yeah, but I feel like because they did announce that the teammate experience coming out in most likely June, and then you have your fall, which
yes.
G Money and I talked about this. Fall goes all the way into December. So for those of you getting your hopes up that this might come in September,
No.
winter doesn't start, I believe, until like December 22nd.
Yes. So expect it the week before that.
So December 21st is still technically fall. So
That's when we're getting it
just
because
just just throwing that out there.
look at Ubisoft Forward is coming out June 12th, right? And the
Yes.
last day of spring is June 20th. So you're going to get a Ubisoft Forward event that's going to advertise a bunch of their games and definitely have a little trailer for what's next with Ghost Recon Breakpoint with the teammate experience and whatever else is coming in the future, probably the Lara Croft thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I would expect that last week, June 15th, which is a Tuesday, or 16th, maybe a couple days later, so the 17th on that Thursday, because that's usually when they drop things.
Yeah.
And then the last week of December or whatever, that week right before it turns into winter, we should really expect that Operation Motherland with Bowman. And I do believe the reason why they don't have Moa Island ready is because I think the majority of Ubisoft Paris is already working on a new game.
Don't play
Honestly,
with my emotions.
that's what I think, dude.
I hope so. We can only hope. Oh, huge shout out to Stabby McStabs again, becoming a
Oh,
channel member. Thank you, sir. Anybody else wants to become a channel member, you get some dope emotes that you can throw in the chat, and you can also throw those in the comments section, as well as you get a cool icon next to your name that changes 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, year,
get some
stuff
love.
like that.
Let's show some love to Stabby.
Yep.
Good.
So, was it a real time commander says Unidad left some dislikes? No worries. Oh, the Unidad. Don't get me started on the Unidad. I wish we had the Unidad in Ghost Recon Breakpoint, man. The Unidad force was
That would have been a good title update, in my opinion. The Unidad mechanic being transferred into the Wolves.
either
War,
that or you get Unidad. You have Unidad that thinks that they're the hot shit, and they just come and invade Aroa, and
that would,
they take out Sentinel, and now Unidad controls the island of Aroa.
what up? That would be ridiculous. But that mechanic is definitely missed by myself, and I know majority of the player base. I do know that Wildlands, a lot of the replayability came at the fact that you could start something that felt like a war. So whereas Breakpoint really has this one-dimensional game style where you engage with enemies, it's mostly stealth, and then if you get seen, it's a quick little firefight and it's over. Wildlands felt like it added an extra dimension of gameplay where if you got seen, especially with Unidad, it would turn into an all-out war. And that is really missing from
Yeah,
Breakpoint, that feeling of just warfare and you clear a base, uh, enemy response team pops up. It's like it's one truck and then it's over.
yep,
Where Wildlands, it never stopped. It never stopped.
yep.
Apache choppers, 5 stars, everybody would come. Unidad would just keep attacking and attacking, and it was really, really fun. And
That
that's
was
what's missing.
Yeah, even as like a late game, like when you got kind of bored of that, it's like, all right, I'm gonna go screw with Unidad, and I'm gonna see how long I can hold them off because of just the reinforcements kept coming on the ground, and you had helicopters and all that stuff, and yeah, that's definitely you can definitely tell that something like that is missing from this game because the enemy presence. Yeah, you have the thing with the Azrael drone, which uh, most people don't even have them on now that they have the ability to turn them off.
Well,
Most people turn them off.
Azrael drones are boring
Yeah,
because every 5 seconds you want to duck, and then if you do get seen, it's a couple bumblebee drones and wolves that just pop out of nowhere. So eventually
yeah,
the mechanic is just like, nah. And I understand what they were doing there, but they would have been better off mixing in the Assassin's Creed mercenary mechanic, where the wolves are kind of trying to look for you and follow you. That would have been cool.
yeah, yeah.
Stabby said he'd love to play sometime. Stabby, if you're on PC, we're gonna have to do that, especially now
Yep.
that you became a member of A Squads.
Yep. Ghost Lad Gaming. Huge shout out to Ghost Lad
Ghost
Gaming.
Lab.
$5 donation says, love the discussions thing. Keep doing this. I would like to listen to this while I'm at work. This is definitely something that we've been talking about for quite some time, and this A Squad guy kept dropping the ball with it, and totally just not kind of shitting the bed on it and not getting things kind of rolling how it should be. But this is definitely something that I even more recently was kind of talking with G Money about. Even I just kind of want to get my whole live stream thing set up again so that I can even like maybe once or twice a week do some live streams. And I don't know how often we could do these and not kind of sound like a broken record, kind of talking about the
No,
same
the
thing.
the yeah, the tactical roundtable is definitely a once, maybe once a month. But we'll play it by ear. We'll play it by ear, so where we
Yeah.
can really discuss new information, topics, really bring you guys in and get some feedback and some questions going, and kind of really bring the community together and talk about how we could really push forward with this franchise and hopefully get the ears of the devs outside of Reddit and the forums in a constructive manner that's respectable and not toxic.
Yeah. And also, was this Dimitron 850? And this is something that I 100% agree with. And it made the game more immersive. So he says that
Yep.
he loved the enemy AI in Wildlands because they would actually do stuff in the bases, like push ups and train and ranges, and so immersive. Agreed. Especially
They'd go to
the
bed, they'd
yes,
eat.
that oh, dude. When you go into like Unidad, as far as I remember, Unidad never slept. Unidad was like always crazy. But if you went into a cartel base and it was after the sun went down, 90% of that base was sleeping.
Yeah.
You know, you still had your a couple patrols and you still had your snipers in the watchtowers and stuff like that, which they should be to kind of keep watch. But most of your base was sleeping. I remember when there was a base in Itaqua, the first region, in the closed beta, where I went inside the space and I'm like, dude, is my game bugged? Like, where is everybody? And I went into the first building and there was like 8 guys sleeping, and I'm like, I was blown away because I was like, that's you don't see this. And then you have that, you don't have that in Breakpoint. And then with the cartel training base that's in like Monteoc, I think is what the region was, where you have like those commanders that are training the dudes doing push-ups and doing jumping jacks and all that stuff because it's the actual cartel training facility. And you have the different guys on patrols. You have some of the guys that are there at the base like working on cars, and stuff like that. And it's just little details go a long way
Yeah,
when it
it
comes
brings
to
the
that kind
game
of stuff.
to life.
Yep. You don't throw this massive island Call it a Ghost Recon game and say, "Oh, by the way, the entire island's under martial law, so you're not going to see any civilians." That
Nope.
was not that was not a proper gameplay mechanic. That was a mechanic so that they didn't have to do as much work with the civilian population.
I wonder,
No,
yeah, I
no
wonder how.
throwing shade. I'm not throwing shade at the devs, but you can't tell me that that was a game plan from the start. That was to cut the corner of not having to develop a full AI system when it comes to the NPCs. That
Yeah.
was an easy way out by saying, hey, the island's under martial law. And it's still under martial law. Even though we basically kind of took control somewhat. Walker's dead. The other dude, the Wonderland dude, he's dead. And the Sentinel is definitely not as strong as they once were because of the stuff that we've done. But it's still under martial law. You still don't see any civilians on the roads. You don't see any civilians out in general public. There ain't even any towns where you see civilians like there was in Wildlands. There was
Well,
actually decent size, except for the city.
that's why you're right, dude, because even if there is martial law, civilians still have to get to and from their place of residence. They didn't even bother to create buses, or really, realistically, they don't have schedules for these people to go into a home and then go to their work. It's
Yeah.
just it's just probably it was way too much for them, and they decided to just scratch that type of thing, martial law, and people are working 24/7. Sentinel is guarding things 24/7. There's no schedule to anything, and it makes the island feel very inorganic.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, there were a lot of cool little individual details that were left out. Honestly, I feel as if because what they said was obviously they had a pretty big team towards the end of development on Wildlands. At the start of Wildlands, they did have a somewhat small team, but that game was in development for five plus years
yeah.
because they basically started working on Wildlands shortly after they released Future Soldier, which was released in 2012. Wildlands came out in 2017, and you can see the attention to detail. And then when you try to flip, there's no way that they should have been technically working on Breakpoint before Wildlands released. In my opinion, they might have started something, but you're talking about Wildlands releasing in spring of 2017, and then fall of 2019 another game that you could definitely tell had a smaller, like a smaller dev cycle. You could, I mean, you could see it from day one
Yep.
with the lacking of like from the start. They showcased the reveal trailer and made it look like you had AI teammates, and then after the fact, they're like, well, no, those were supposed to be real players because there's no AI teammates.
Yeah.
And then they officially, and then with enough backlash from the community, they announced at E3 that year, which would have been June of 2019. Uh,
Coming back.
based on the community feedback, we're bringing AI teammates back. Everybody goes crazy, everybody's happy
Stage.
because in their mind they're thinking, oh well, they'll just probably just port it over from Wildlands and we'll have that at launch. No, and it didn't come out till what was a year
Mhm.
after launch, a little over a year after launch, we finally got the AI teammates, which at that point, you know, which not trying to sound negative, not trying to throw shade, trying to be constructive here. I'm just throwing that out there. Another way to cut the corner, basically saying, well, we're going for this, behind enemy lines, you're the last man standing on your team, blah blah blah. That's why there's no AI teammates. No, you just didn't want to take the time to put them in a game. I'm not trying to sound like a dick, and I'm not trying to be non-constructive, but that's
I think the team, they get together. They get. I think they have a basic date of when the game needs to be launched, and when it's 2017 or whatnot, Wildlands comes out, and they're getting pressure from management. We need another game. We want it, 2 years from now. Blah blah blah. They sit down and they say, "Yo, look, what can and can't do?" And they probably said, "If this is the direction we're going, let's eliminate this, eliminate this. We'll take it this direction. This is how we'll design around it."
yeah,
End of the day, it didn't work. And also, Boxhead 77 makes perfect sense, which we've had discussions about the fact that, well, Sentinel's entire leadership is dismantled, and the Wolves, basically. What
yeah,
is Sentinel even doing? Who are they taking orders from? Who's paying them? What are these guys doing? They're,
yeah.
they work.
They're a
They work,
military contractor. If they're not getting, if you take all the higher ups, they're not getting paid. They would not even be. They wouldn't even be here. They'd just be like, oh, screw this, let's roll out.
and this goes into what my assumption was for year two, with after Operation Amber Sky and learning of the General and Freddie Porter and Miss Tanaka and these buyers and these organizations that are doing business with Sentinel. A new leadership would emerge, and I assumed there would be a splintering of the old Sentinel, and there would be a new Sentinel who would take maybe command or allegiance under this general character, and they would be set up on Moa Island. That's where
Yeah,
I thought year two was going, and I was excited about it after looking into the Amber Sky story. But now there's no actual rhyme or reason of what is going on with anything in this story, because now we're going to get the teammate experience. And then I don't know where they're going to go with Bowman. But if they don't continue on with what happened with Amber Sky, I have absolutely no idea what this team is doing with the lore of this game and this storyline, because it's kind of all over the place. And this is something I had mentioned to you, and I speak about with some people on how the live events, the game is developed in such a weird way that even the live events don't flow into one another. So you
yeah,
have Operation Amber Sky happening, but where did the Rebel event go? If we're talking about, one cohesive storyline and arc. So the Rebels push forward in their offensive on Aroa, but then where the hell are they when Operation Amber Sky takes place?
where's the cavalry that Sam Fisher was supposed to call in?
Right, yeah, Sam Fisher went back, who does he trust, who doesn't he trust? Is what's going on with Fisher? He extracted the strategist. What's going on? There's so many things. Rainbow Six came onto the island. Now they're leaving. Where's that story take us now?
Yeah,
And now all of a sudden it's like the next thing we'll get, because I don't know if the teammate experience is going to go through this, or if that's just going to be the mechanic of the teammate experience for that title update. And we have to wait for more story, hardcrete story line for the second title update. But where are we going with this story now? Because things are
yeah.
kind of all over the place. Do we care about the general? Where does Freddie Porter, knowing he's
Oh, dude, I forgot about the general. I completely
yeah,
forgot about the general.
Tanaka's now did she how did she get on the island? How did she get off the island? What are we doing there? And what's going on with the rebels now? Where did the rebel offensive take us? Where did their offensive, end? Where does it's like, what's going on?
Yeah.
They're all over the island because of the way the mechanic is built.
Yep.
It's very, very strange, the entire development process. It's almost like, what's the saying? Luno narrative dissidence, where what's happening in the story is not connecting to what's happening with the gameplay. It's like 2 different things are happening.
Yeah, and creative Talso says, "Where's Midas?" Well, he's still leaning up against the post next to Holt. Holt's still chilling on the bed with some busted
Oh,
legs, and Midas is just chilling, leaning up against the post next to his bed. Still, and then right below that, before I lose it here, Brian Kelly says the next Ghost Recon needs to have a world that evolves based on enemies and allies' successes and defeats. G Money and I have talked about this, not necessarily in that way, but how we've talked about before with like a fast travel system in Ghost Recon being the fact that, in this game, in my personal opinion, you're not missing much in Breakpoint if you fast travel. I feel as if you missed more when you were in Wildlands. There was a lot of cool crafted bases and other things that the devs made. You miss a lot of that when you fast travel. And basically instituting a new fast travel system. So in Wildlands, you had some regions had, I think most regions had at least three. Some had four, some had five rally points that you could fast travel to. So with a new system like that, kind of like what you were kind of hinting at there, is have one rally point, which is like a fast travel point per region. The very first region that you start the game in, you have to you have to take over a base, which turns into a rally point, which you can then lose if you don't, if you neglect it for too long. Unidad, for instance, hypothetically could come back in and take back that rally point, and you can no longer fast travel to that rally point, similar to the control point system that was in the Division 2. And
exactly.
have one rally point for every province. And when you go into that province for the first time, if you want to fast travel to that province, you have to go to the base that would technically be your rally point, take that base over from the enemy, make it an ally base, and then that becomes a rally point that you can fast travel to. And if, like I said, once you go through the game and you start turning all these into friendly rally points, if you neglect a region for too long, the enemy opposing force would come back in and try to retake that rally point, and then you would no longer be able to fast travel there until you went back and turned it back into a friendly
Yeah,
rally point.
that would work well.
So when I think like even kind of like what he's talking about is just kind of having like an entire region, like where you would go
But not
through
even
and
so much that, he might even be saying the story in general. Like,
right,
what if you have a story that's based on an actual war where there are offensive pushes and then defensive stands, where the story takes you through losing territory, gaining territory, a conflict between two sides, and your team is there to maybe help one side, and you could bake in a mechanic like that through the story and also towards the end game.
yeah. Yeah, and Dimitron 850 talking about the province difficulty um, was also really good. Like you could see that the cartel had recruits in the easier provinces and the elites in harder ones, and then obviously like even stemming from that, you had, I think what you were talking about the other day, Media Luna. I think it was Media Luna and Wildlands. Like you went in there, it was Unidad everywhere. Like there were SAM sites everywhere in the mountains between the bases. You had the big
Oh
field
yeah, that one
operations
main
base.
base that
Yeah,
had, yeah, SAM
yeah. I think
sites
that
lining
was
it.
like, yeah, that one main base that was in Media Luna, and everything in there
Yep.
was, heavily, Unidad focused, and that was one thing that I even talked to G Money about the other day, during the closed beta for Ghost Recon Wildlands. So many people were giving feedback to the devs saying, this game's way too easy, but you started in the easiest province in the entire game. And the second you branch out to another region that has other bases, you have bases with SAM turrets, you have bases with, remote turrets and like actual sentry pits, you have mortar pits, you have like the full alarm system, you have, drone jammers and all that other stuff that wasn't in the easiest first region that you start in, because I didn't want to make it seem too hard. But the second you branched out into the other regions, it got pretty crazy with like the drone jammers and the SAM sites and
Well, plus they had a tiered loot model as well, which, you
in
know oh, no, I'm talking about, Breakpoint.
yeah, 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 okay,
Are you talking about Wildlands still?
Yeah, like with the base,
Oh, in the
yeah,
beginning
with
of
the base difficulty,
Wildlands.
because like during the closed beta, the first region you go into, which is the one you start in the main game with Ataqua, there's only
Yeah, yeah.
one Unidad base that all they have is soldiers. That's it. There's a couple sniper towers and a couple soldiers. That's it. But the second you branch out into the other regions, you start seeing, mortar pits and sentry pits and,
Yeah.
more sniper towers, alarm systems, and all that kind of stuff that made it harder as you got into those other regions, especially the Unidad base. Like the Unidad base, you could take out the entire base, and if you forgot to take out the SAM sites, you're like, oh, I'm gonna steal this plane and I'm gonna take off, and then you make it like 10 seconds and you get shot down by like 8 different SAM sites. You know, I think
You
even
know what?
that was something that was lacking because in Breakpoint, most of the time you got shot at by a SAM site. It wasn't a SAM site. It was like an or it was one of the big drones that were just parked out in the middle of the woods.
Yeah.
That started shooting missiles at you. But
And that leads me to something that I would love to speak to an actual developer about, which is how do we move away in moving forward in game design and game development? How do we move away from a system of rendering? Like, and what I mean by that is because we were speaking about SAM sites. The worst thing about it about Ghost Recon with SAM sites is destroying a SAM site and then moving too far from the SAM site,
yeah,
flying over that area, and that SAM site all of a sudden being there again. There
yep,
has to be a way within a system of memory for them to keep track, regardless if it renders off your screen or not, whether that SAM site is destroyed, and have a system where, maybe it comes back 24 hours in game, something like that. Maybe even a mechanic where men look like they're deployed to fix it. But I'd like to get to a point even there where, and even though Breakpoint didn't emphasize the SAMs that much, so it really doesn't matter. But even with this is something I've spoken about in a very old video. How do we fix a respawn system moving forward in these types of Ubisoft games, which are huge open worlds, where if go 500 meters away from a base you just cleared and come back, everybody pops up? Is there a way to manage in memory, if there is enough of computers nowadays, is there a way to keep track of what bases are empty, what bases are not, and is there a way in game with the in-game mechanic to kind of repopulate these bases with enemy troops that perhaps come from a main barracks area or something, and they get in a convoy, and there's convoys constantly moving around the game map to fill up ter- uh, compounds that you've wiped out. I
that'd
would
be
love to
cool.
speak to a I would love to speak to a developer about that and wonder, is that possible in gaming moving forward? Because that's when you look at games like Red Dead or all these Ubisoft games that are open world, or even Ghost of Tsushima. All these games basically are, you get to a certain point, the game engine is rendering what should be around you, and if there's supposed to be an enemy there, the enemy pops up. But
Yeah.
well, at least Ghost of Tsushima, you clear a base, it's gone forever. But with these Ubisoft games, that's something that I feel like a lot of people don't talk about and would be really interesting to talk about with game developers. Is there a way for developers to maintain in memory what bases are empty and then have some type of game mechanic to repopulate those bases via an airdrop, you know, trucks moving in and resupplying men and material to these areas? That would be really cool to discuss. But yeah, I went kind of went off there for a second, but
No, and I think you definitely hit the nail on the head there with that too. And like day one is talking about in the chat, and I was actually going to bring this up as well, was being the fact that you had the strongholds and stuff in the division, or the control points in division, kind of like what we were talking about with the fast travel system. So you would take a control point from an enemy that was like an enemy a stronghold, and or like for instance, if you compare that to Wildlands, like a big Unidad base could be one of those things. You take out all of the enemies in there, it would become a friendly base. You would then see um, rebels or even like other ghosts or something. But if you're just going for like the 4-man squad in a country, it wouldn't be ghosts. But then you would basically have rebels take over that, and that is no longer an enemy base. And that would be very similar to how the Division 2 works. Is when you take over a base like that or an enemy control point, it becomes a friendly control point. Then you have, rebels there. And I think
Yeah.
that would even be cool. Like, for instance, if you go, I don't know how that worked in Wildlands because I didn't really use the rebels that much. But like once you leveled up the rebels, you could pretty much, no matter what region you were in, you could call them in however
Yeah.
much you wanted. I feel as if a good mechanic moving forward, if they did bring the rebels back, you go into a brand new region where you have absolutely no control over, you have no presence there, you have no rebel support.
You
And
have to build it up.
if you get to a point where you take over that region, maybe you would have more rebel support in that region, and then surrounding regions you would have a little bit of rebel support, but you also would be able to take over those bases and they would no longer be enemy bases. You wouldn't, like you said, you'd take out this entire massive Unidad base, you'd fly to the next region and come back, and boom, the whole base is filled with the exact same people in the exact same spots they were.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, like I said, I don't know how that would work. I think there would be some way they could
I
do
mean,
that where you
look at
could,
chat. Chat saying that other games provide this type of structure. It's just that
yeah.
Ubisoft doesn't. Now, I don't play Just Cause, but maybe I should give it a whirl to see how these mechanics work in that game. But yeah, I think moving forward, outside of discussing what the developers are providing for us as far as story and gameplay, we really do need to talk about mechanics because I mean,
Yeah, Craig
geez,
Barlow basically says
it's
that.
2021.
Yeah, the in Just Cause games, you take over a base and it stays your base. Rebels move in. Ubisoft is just too lazy. That is literally the exact mechanic that we're talking about. And I personally haven't played Just Cause, and that is the exact mechanic that we're just talking about. That's in another game that's on console. That that's what we want. We want that mechanic in Ghost Recon. You take over
Yeah.
a base, it stays friendly, and there would be it'd be cool. Like it wouldn't necessarily just have to be the rally points for that matter. It could be every base in the game. You take it over, it becomes a friendly base, and then you have a chance that you neglect that base enough, Unidad or somebody tries to come back and take it back from the rebels and make it their own base again.
Well, the question is, I don't play Just Cause, but so I'll just talk about Ghost Recon. I could see them doing specific areas so they can program this, but can they program something like this on a large scale to where the entire game is like this? And then on top of that, do they have the ability to create a mechanic to where it looks like these bases are being repopulated, not just by spawning enemies, but enemies that are being driven from a specific barracks area or
Yeah.
maybe airdropped. If you need to spawn something in, maybe a high airplane, and you see these guys parachuting into bases. Like, I don't know, is there something to where we can start to reimagine the open world and how enemies render in that world, and how enemies are just rendered from memory into a space, I guess, that's predetermined, versus holding that state, whether there are enemies there or not, into memory. So regardless where you go in the game, when you come back, the game can read that state of that base and determine whether or not there are enemies in there. But
Yeah, I feel as if
that's getting into some serious programming there.
yeah, but
You'd
I
have
feel
to
as if
talk
they could
to.
do that because like chat's going on too is that something that was kind of in Far Cry 5. It's another Ubisoft game. This is like with the oh, shoot, what was it? The Cult or whatever, that you could kind of do that same concept and it was very similar to what we're talking about, and it just completely gets left out of Ghost Recon.
So
So
Nolan, I actually responded to Drewski's video. That's an old one, but yeah, it was a good one. But he talks mostly about connecting the game world, which is another thing to talk about. To where if you have a province and you have electricity in that province, and if you take out the electric grid, then the enemy can't communicate with themselves, and really connecting things within the game, which was really good. And he had a lot of ideas that were based on Arma and things like that. That I'm not sure if I agreed with everything, but there were some good ideas from Drewski in that.
yeah, I still felt like the one where he said where you would actually do recon in a Ghost Recon
Yeah.
game. He's like, it's in the name. It's Ghost
Yeah.
Recon.
Well,
Being
that
able to
yeah,
like
that
recon an area and possibly doing a couple little side things to make your main objective a little bit easier, and
exactly,
have
yeah.
to actually do recon, which you kind of do have that in Breakpoint. If you turn off the guided mode, you actually kind of have to pay attention to what's going on. It kind of gives you a vague area or whatever, and you kind of have to figure it out. But
There are no interconnected systems
yeah,
to where your recon has a positive effect on the mission at hand. It's just basically you can't see where to go, so read this intel so you could find where to go.
yeah.
That's basically the recon in Breakpoint. Whereas it would be nice, sort of like if we look back at Wildlands, do you remember the radio towers you could shut off? And then there
Oh
would
yeah,
get
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yep.
you'd shut one off, and then you have to run to another one to shut it off, and then you'd build up one of your rebel presences. I forget which one it was. It's kinda like little things like those. Like, you take those little rebel things, but you connect them to the overall game structure to where if you shut off a radio tower or destroy it in that province, electricity goes off, and maybe, uh, the civilian population in that province becomes a little more hostile towards you now. Maybe there's a system of honor or dishonor between citizens, and the more you disrupt their way of life, maybe the more they'll turn on you. The less you disrupt their way of life, the more maybe you can get intel from them. There's so many systems you could think of, but at the very least, it would be nice to have some type of system where there are interconnecting mechanics in the game world to where if you mess with one, it messes with another, sort
Yeah,
of like this electric grid example. So
yeah,
that really would be cool. But this all goes back to what can the developers create? Are they willing to make all these mechanics, in Anvil Next and bring it to fruition in Ghost Recon? Or are they really just looking to perfect what they already have and just sell you a product to make money? Because a wish list of every gamer's dream sometimes it's just a little too much.
yep,
Sometimes the game engine doesn't support it. I don't know what Anvil Next excels at. I'm going to assume it's a real good animating engine,
yeah.
because from what I see with Assassin's Creed and Breakpoint and what was the other one that just came out? Immortals Phoenix Rising. What else is on Anvil Next? I forget, but Anvil Next doesn't seem like it does anything great mechanically, like systems wise, other
Yeah.
than really great animations.
And that's where I feel like what we've talked about multiple times with the Snowdrop engine. But can the Snowdrop engine do something on that massive of a scale? Is that where is that why it's not being utilized for a game like Ghost Recon? Is obviously the division, it's big, but I see it's more condensed. Like it's an urban environment, which I feel as if that would almost take more. You don't have your draw distances, but man, you got a lot more assets on screen at one
Yeah.
time and stuff like that. But
I think
because the
I think
animations in that aren't
Snowdrop.
bad.
Yeah, I think Snowdrop could handle huge maps, dude, because both division maps are great. Stabby McStab with another 5. He has a little OCD. He wasn't liking the $35 dono. He needed the $40 dono. Shout out to Stabby with
Much
another
love, man.
$5 dono. He
It's
said he DM'd you. Awesome.
nice, nice. That's something else too that I need to kind of get kind of back on was back when I covered State of Decay 2. I covered State of Decay 2 pretty hard when it was in development, and I had a Discord that was popping. I mean, we had 3, 4, 500 members, and everybody was always in there communicating and just. I don't have the time to be consistently on Discord because I work full time job, 2 kids, trying to make Ghost Recon content and still have time to just do my thing. I don't have time to completely fully run a Discord, and that's something that I kind of want to do is kind of get the Discord popping again because it never really was up to its full potential for Ghost Recon. But
Yeah, there you go.
it would also help if we had something that was, that a great Ghost Recon game to play with a good PvP and a good, community and everything would definitely help that go a long way. But
These are the trials and tribulations of being somewhat addicted to a game that just didn't hit the mark.
yep,
It's like, damn. But whatever, it is what it is, and we'll continue to talk about the game, play the game. There are other games out there, but at the core of it, we just want great Ghost Recon games. Make Ghost Recon great again.
Yeah. Hashtag make Ghost Recon great again.
Snowdrop's a good bet for the Avatar game. Well, I think Snowdrop could do almost anything, and I am very, very excited to see what Massive Entertainment does with the Star Wars game. I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with that. I know it's going to take a while to put out, but when it comes, I hope it's really awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Snowdrop should be utilized more. Um, I mean, it is in some games, but I feel as if the Division used it really well. The animations are really good. The way the game works. Obviously, you have certain things that are specifically tailored to the Division of obviously the way that game's built. But I feel like if you're gonna have like Assassin's Creed is fine on Anvil Next. I feel like Ghost Recon is being. I mean, I'm not a developer, so I don't know. But like you were talking about, good animations and stuff like that. But like the back end mechanics and the systems and stuff just does not seem like Anvil Next is the right engine for that kind of game.
Yeah.
And I think with obviously you see it clear as day with the different mechanics and stuff that you have in the division that I don't know. I don't know, like what we talked about before, if like all of the devs that work at Ubisoft Paris that are working on Ghost Recon are really in tuned with Anvil Next, and they're not so quite, versed on Snowdrop.
Yeah.
But from the trailers that we saw at the reveal of Snowdrop, it looks pretty simple. It's a very optimized, engine where it's supposed to be user
Well,
friendly.
I wouldn't call anything simple only for the fact that after downloading Unreal and
Yeah,
messing around with that engine, nothing is simple. And, learning the tools and the systems and then making it simple for yourself after you figure it all out. The only thing I would say about the engines and what we're seeing with the two different games is that the Division has the illusion of a really, really big game world, but since it's strictly urban, they can get away with a lot more because you're going down a block and you're not seeing so far, so your gunfights are relatively close. Whereas Ghost Recon, they're making huge, open worlds with little areas that feel more urbanized or like these little compounds. So you're looking at like what Stabby was saying, engaging from 300, 400 meters, which never happens in the division, or engaging, up close and personal, which does happen in division and feels really good. So what I'd like to give Ubisoft Paris another chance with the next game, knowing, hoping that it's strictly on next gen consoles to see if there was really just hardware limitations with what they could do with these older games. Now, if we get a new game and it's PS5, Xbox Series X, PC, and it's the same old, and we're seeing the same thing, then we have to chalk it up to either A, this engine's really not cutting it, or B, maybe the developers aren't. So I'd say when we get this next game, whether it's 2 years, 3 years, 4 years out, who knows? We'll be able to really see, hey, something's not right here. But until then, I don't know if we could pass judgment, being that we just got done with last gen,
yeah,
and we know that there are some limitations hardware wise, even though some people in the comments were saying that other games were doing things that we're talking about. But I mean, I don't know. We'll see. This game was rushed too. Let's admit that they flipped the game in 2 years, basically 2.5 years,
and
building
you
it
can
from the
and you can
ground up.
definitely see that 100%. You can
Yeah,
definitely see that.
yeah. But new animations, new everything. So a lot of mechanics, were probably built from the ground up, even though they had it already with the old system, because everything was new with the animation system. So, we'll see what's up moving forward. And what have we got to do other than just wait for Ghost Recon content and other games that are going to come out?
Yeah, and I'll say this on the podcast here, and I know these videos are probably gonna flop because I'm primarily a Ghost Recon channel. Obviously, we're not gonna be seeing a whole lot of. We're only seeing 2 new content drops this year. Well, information is probably gonna be few and far between. So you guys are probably 100% gonna be starting to see occasionally a few Battlefield 6 videos
There you
on the
go.
channel, just because the rumors that are kind of surrounding that game, if they become true, it's gonna be an insanely popular game. Like the newest one that they're talking about, the possibility that Battlefield 6 could be launching in Xbox Game Pass day one, which you're gonna reach an audience, a pretty massive audience. And if there's also gonna be a rumored BR game to go along with that, that's gonna be a proper BR, it's gonna be like competing with Warzone, which is usually you're talking top 3 on Twitch 24/7.
Yeah, yeah.
So, but yeah, who knows? Um, this the tactical roundtable. I mean, if there's other stuff that comes up, we'll definitely do more of these. It's definitely been fun, but this has definitely ran longer than I thought it was going to run. We're at 2 hours and 22 minutes and 22 seconds.
Awesome, man. It's awesome. I mean, we're in mid-April now. I would assume we're not going to need another one until uh, June 13th, when right after uh Ubisoft Forward, because we'll get Ubisoft Forward. I'm sure we're going to get a trailer for the teammate experience. Unless something drops before then, which I don't think they're going to do. I assumed we were
I think you're
going to.
right. I think it's
Yeah,
going to release
dude.
after the Ubisoft Award. You're going to get a big trailer presentation. That's going to be the one big Ghost Recon thing there.
Yep,
And
we're
then
going
it's
to
going to
get that.
release right after Ubisoft Forward.
Yep, exactly. I really thought we were going to get the Lara Croft uh crossover before the teammate experience, but now seeing that there's a Ubisoft Forward event planned, they might just drop uh teammate experience, and then in between the teammate experience and the Operation Motherland, somewhere in between there, we'll get that Lara Croft thing, and maybe that gives them a chance to really make it
Yeah.
more fun than what it would have been if they released it sooner. Maybe a couple skins, maybe make it a little more engaging. Maybe give Nomad, some tight spandex to wear so he could run around with his some booty shorts.
Yeah.
So
Uh,
I'd say that might be a good time for a part two, unless we get something else that we want to do. And also in between these tactical rounds, we are planning on live streaming a Wildlands playthrough, as well
yes.
as various other things. Sometimes I'll be live streaming and A Squad will come home from work and hop in, but we definitely are looking towards a dedicated time schedule for a Wildlands playthrough.
Yes. Yeah, I'm excited about that. I've been wanting to kind of get back into Wildlands. Kirby. Oh my God, I'm gonna pronounce your last name wrong, so we're gonna leave it at Kirby.
Baptiste.
What about Unreal Engine 5? Can't they use it for the next Ghost Recon? I think at this point you
The
don't.
answer is
Are
no.
there any Are there any Ubisoft games using Unreal?
The answer is no, and here's why. When Ubisoft left Unreal for proprietary engine, they did it because they wanted complete and total control of their engine. When you're using an engine that's made by someone else, you're at the what's the word?
You're
Behest?
kind of
Is
at
that
their
the word?
mercy.
Yeah, you're at their mercy of things that only they can put into their engine. So if you want something specific that the engine doesn't do well and you don't control that engine, you can't do it. That's why Ubisoft, every one of their teams is using proprietary software, proprietary engine owned and operated by Ubisoft. Whether it's Snowdrop or Anvil Next 2.0, they're not going to use Unreal Engine 5.
Yep.
Yo, Brian Kelty, later, brother.
Yeah. What else? What else did I
Craig
see on
Barlow,
here?
there's a present open world. Just Cause 3, a lot of bases aren't the same as breakpoints. Yeah, Craig, I think I'm going to just give that a little try
Yeah. Is
to
Just
see.
Cause is that a PlayStation exclusive? I
I'm
want
not
to say that
sure.
it is. I might be wrong. But Riley McQuillan. Where was the first one? Do you guys want a Ghost Recon Killer game? So there's actual competition. SOCOM was Ghost Recon's competition back in the day, and those games made each other better. So like I commented back, competition makes better games. Currently,
Yeah.
there is no rival in the third person tactical shooter genre because there is
Nope.
no other like actual big AAA third person tactical shooters.
Yep.
People that are kind of throwing out there with the 06 game is made by an incredibly small
That's never
indie
coming out, guys.
developer. And with COVID and everything, yeah, that's you're
That's
that
never
thing
coming out.
that might never see the light of day.
I'll
So
I'll tell you why, and you know this because you covered that developer blog. Their first of all, they had what was it, last year that they touted the alpha and they started advertising? It was like a year ago, right now?
yeah,
So, they released a developer blog, I don't know, a couple months back, and the only thing they showcased was vegetation.
yeah, and then their newest thing that they posted, I think they posted a tweet, and it
It
just
was
showed
like
like
the
a tiny little bit of
arms,
character
right?
customization. Yeah, the
Yeah,
arm model, the
it
model
was
of
their
their arms.
arms.
Yeah,
So it's like, I don't really know where that team is at. I don't really know what their objective is. Sometimes I'm a little suspicious. I've said this before that I think that maybe they either want to be acquired or they're looking for funding. I'm not sure because
yeah. There was a rumor going around too that Microsoft was looking at Ubisoft.
yeah,
Um,
so 006 I think is something like that where they're
yeah.
looking to just get
Oh yeah, that's right.
noticed.
You're talking about 06. Yeah, my bad.
Yeah.
My bad. Honestly, that's the thing too is I think and this might be way out there and obviously if for those people that are PlayStation fans, I mean that if Ubisoft in somehow some crazy world, which this technically wouldn't affect you because you play on PC. So it really wouldn't affect you anyway because you're going to Ghost Recon would still be on PC, everything would still be on PC. But if somebody like Microsoft bought Ubisoft and pushed them in the right direction with the right superiors that love gaming and they listen to their fan base, I think that would do wonders. I mean, that just might be me because I have an Xbox, but like I said, I mainly play on PC anyway, so I'm not like a console warrior or whatever of to one platform. But I almost feel like as of late, like we talked about the other day, is everything mechanics wise, they're trying to make it generic to all their games.
Yeah.
So Ghost Recon mechanics, Assassin's Creed mechanics, the Division mechanics, which are three completely different games that are trying to utilize the same base mechanic system because it makes the whole process of development more streamlined, which I get it from a developer standpoint, but being the fact that those games are so different, they should not have the same like systems, I
Yeah.
guess. So, I don't know, I could go on
Well, you know
a
what?
whole tangent with that.
I never know what management is gonna do what. So I wouldn't know if a Microsoft would push them in a better direction or if they just messed up this time around and maybe they'll get it right this time. Maybe they had the wrong creative team or the wrong guy in charge. I don't know. That's why I'm saying it's not a one and done for me. Breakpoint had some serious flaws, but there were some things that I do like, mostly in the animation system. Like right now, what's on the screen, I think your guy looks really cool the way he's moving. There's some really good transitions between all the animations.
Yeah.
I think they need another opportunity to come back from this. Hopefully, they could hit a home run with the next game. It does need to the PvP as well as the PvE needs to be worked on because nobody really cares about Ghost Recon PvP, and that's a shame because I feel like for the type of genre it is, you have so many people playing PUBG, and I feel like Ubisoft can do better than what PUBG does, but I might be wrong.
Yeah, and even real quickly, stemming back to like with the BR thing, all the mechanics that you would kind of need for a BR are already there. You have the full like
Yep.
the parachute system and the free fall system and all that stuff that's already all there.
Sure. It's
The
there.
you can pick up you can pick up enemy weapons off the ground. You just make it so that there's some spots where there's weapons, that you can pick up. Even the
Dude,
crates, just have the crates. You open up
they've
a crate and some shit comes out of the crate.
8-man mercenaries. They have the talent. It all depends if they would dedicate a team towards making a battle royale that was dedicated on its own, not and didn't wasn't tied to a game. And I mean, I don't know. I don't know. It's a really interesting conversation to have because I really think Ubisoft is missing out in that space and they do good with Siege for like esports or whatnot, and I know they did Hyperspace to try to push into that battle royale space, but I don't think that was the way to go in my
No, they
opinion.
picked the wrong. They picked
You
the
know,
wrong style of game for
I don't
to be
think
like.
yeah, right? Like, does Ubisoft realize like they are outside of Assassin's Creed, which is a huge IP. Like when I think about Ubisoft, I think about Clancy.
Yep.
I think about Splinter Cell. I think about Ghost Recon and Rainbow, and I know Rainbow's losing itself as well to the esports kind of arcadiness. So, like I said earlier, we might not be the target audience anymore, us old
Yep.
guys. We might just have to understand that maybe it is what it is at this point.
Yeah. In the perfect world for me, um, at like an E3 event or like a Ubisoft Forward event, in a perfect world for me, announcing, and this is not saying like for this year, but I'm just saying in general, announcing a Ghost Recon game that kind of feels like it really kind of goes back to its roots and really ingrains itself in that tactical shooter, a
Yeah.
squad based third person tactical shooter. And then also at that same E3, announce a Rainbow Six Vegas 3. That would just, oh my lord,
Now,
I
but
would lose it.
I see now after
I
during
personally played hundreds, probably even thousands of hours on Rainbow Six Vegas 2. That
but now
PvP was
here's the
insane.
thing, I don't even know if they do E3 with their Ubisoft Forward now. Oh, Maggie with the $5 dono. Everybody get some love for Maggie in the
You're
comment.
number one with the GIF. Nice.
But yeah,
Much appreciated, bro.
I mean, I'm not sure, man.
He
I'm not
says, I always donate to G Money. It's your turn now. Much love, man.
yeah, Maggie hit you. I think it was the other day, right? You were hitting me up. But yeah, I don't even know how E3 if E3 is even going to survive moving forward because a lot of these companies, like
Well,
Sony has its own thing now.
well,
And
I
then
think they've already like E3 is confirmed this year digital, and
I
E3
know
is already confirmed
usually
for
E3 was
next year physical.
usually E3 was like everybody showcases
Yeah.
their shit there. And
Yep.
now it's kind of like, maybe you'll get a little something from every studio just for marketing, but they might hold off with their main shit for their own thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see. We'll see moving forward.
Yeah, because EA does their own thing, Sony does their own thing, but you still have like obviously Microsoft, Bethesda. Now technically they're still going to do that this year. Microsoft and Bethesda, obviously Microsoft bought Bethesda, but Bethesda's still going to have their own show.
Yeah.
And then you have some of the other companies and stuff that are going to be there. They actually Take Two confirmed they're going to be there this
Yeah.
year.
I wonder. That's probably just going to be like GTA 5.
Yeah, the new remaster thing that
Some,
they're probably. There was rumors, not to stem completely off topic, but there was rumors of a uh trilogy remaster of GTA 3, GTA Vice City, and GTA San Andreas for next gen.
okay.
Whether or not that's gonna happen or not, no idea. But I would play the shit out of that. Going back to play some Vice City, man, I was like 12 years old when Vice City came out.
Those are good gaming days. Those are good
Ugh.
game. So chat, have any interesting questions before we wrap this up?
Yeah, shoot some. If there's any other like dying questions, because yeah, we're running 2 hours and 34 minutes, and the bathroom's calling.
But yeah, this was fun. Good questions, good discussions. You
Definitely
know,
something that we're gonna do
yeah,
um
it would be
more
nice
of.
if they it would be nice to do more of these if Ubisoft dropped more info, a month here, a month there. But usually the way Ubisoft does it, it's every few months. The day they'll go 4 months not saying anything, and then like the day before patch notes, you'll get like a little bit of info, like, "Hey guys, patch coming tomorrow, patch notes, whatever."
Maybe we
And
can set something up for the month of May and get a couple of the community managers on and interrogate them.
oof,
Yeah, I don't think that would happen.
yeah, and even if you could, when you're bound by, hey, I can't say anything other than what you know.
Right.
Maggie with another $10 donation. Awesome,
Oh
Mag.
shit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you want to start off?
Ubisoft Paris is obviously well, yeah. Try to be constructive, but yeah, I understand what you're coming from. Ubisoft Paris has obviously failed. I think they should give the game to Ubisoft Massive with Red Storm. Dude, I've said this a number of times. I don't know what happened with Red Storm because Red Storm was, as far as I can remember, Red Storm had them all,
They're doing their own thing, man.
including Graw and Graw 2, and then with Future Soldier, it was kind of halvesies. It was Red Storm and Ubisoft Paris, and then obviously with Wildlands, Ubisoft Paris took full control. But also says being an amazing Ghost Recon game in the Snowdrop engine. I think Massive could do a good job, obviously utilizing that engine as well. But obviously that is definitely not going to happen now that they got the Star Wars contract,
Yeah, definitely
because
not.
that is a money machine if they
Yep.
do it right.
Yep.
So, and then was this Dust Drama 26 with the $9.99 donation with
Nice.
the thumbs up,
26.
thumbs up.
26. Good
It
shit,
says
brother.
also Driston Bennett G Money crossover event.
Wait, what? I'm excited for Ghost Recon G Money Soldiers, G Money crossover. I I don't know about that yet. That event yet. They have to contact me.
Yeah, and Riley, hope to see you guys collaborate again soon. Like I said, we're definitely going to be at some point doing, probably during a live stream, like maybe do it where like we'll do like one episode, we can do it on G Money's channel, my channel, or but just both stream it so you guys can see both perspectives, but do a full like Ghost Recon Wildlands playthrough. Like do it, you know, from the start again, both playing on PC.
Oh yeah,
Um
no, that's happening
so
sooner or later. We're gonna figure out a good time to knock out some Wildlands gameplay,
yeah.
and yeah, definitely. And someone said, who said? Oh, Box said. So for you, A Squad, like for me, it's Armor 3. But do you play any other sniper, military stealth games when you're not playing Ghost Recon? I love Clancy. I love Splinter Cell. I like action adventure games like Tomb Raider. I have Armor 3. So
For some people, this might sound surprising, but my number two game right now is actually Diablo 3.
yeah.
I've been playing a lot of Diablo 3. The new season came out a couple weeks ago. Been grinding that. And then honestly, I'm not like a super hardcore player. I used to play it a lot, but obviously when we were talking about Escape from Tarkov, I'm what you would definitely call a casual player when it comes to Escape from Tarkov. A couple of the buddies that I personally know that are big into Tarkov, are like super in the end game meta. They got all the money in the game, and they got like the best guns and the best armor and all that stuff in the game. And then I come in running my like low tier kits and the wrong ammo and not good armor, and just go in because it's fun. Because that's what's cool about Escape from Tarkov. You could be a level 1 player, go in with a pistol, just a regular, like a, let's call it a oh, like just a basic pistol, and you could take down a fully geared guy that has the best armor and the best weapons and the best everything in the game with a well placed shot. Because the way the systems in that game work, if somebody's not wearing like a face shield, if they're dumb enough to come into a raid or something without a face shield, it doesn't matter. Every bullet in the game does enough damage, like to the head, to, if you shoot him in the face, it's over with any bullet in the game. So if you could easily just take down a fully geared guy with a well placed shot. That's why a lot of people love Tarkov so much, because you don't have to be. It helps, but you don't have to have the best stuff in the game to be successful. Especially for those people that like to play, like they call them, play like rats. Is like, hide, take, just play like a rat, and sneak up on a fully geared guy. And the way that game works with armor, if you got like a shotgun, you just shoot him in the legs enough times, it's going to kill him because there's no armor on the legs. So it's definitely a fun game just because of how realistic the game is with the ballistics and the armor, and just the way the guns work and the
Yeah.
recoil and the whole thing. And then my super chill game, like I said, with Diablo 3, I'll just boot up some Diablo 3 and go in and just grind, throw on some music, and just totally space, and just grind for fun. So, and from time to time I'll jump on Ghost Recon. Normally if there's nobody on to talk to, or like nobody to play with, it's not really my thing anymore. um Wildlands I could probably go back and dabble a little bit in solo and have some fun with that. But yeah, Tarkov and Diablo right now until something else comes out. So
Yep. Outside of tac shooters, I've been playing a little World of Warcraft, but as far as shooting games, yeah, it's Arma. A little bit of I like Tomb Raider, and I played Days Gone. Days Gone was fun.
Dude, did you see
So
the thing where they shot down the Days Gone sequel?
yeah, but
PlayStation shot down the Days Gone sequel
I
for
was
the.
saying it might be a blessing in disguise because Ben Studios made Siphon Filter.
Oh, that's right, that's right, that's right. Yeah. Could you
So
imagine? Could you
maybe
imagine?
instead of moving towards Days Gone 2, they decide, hey, let's do a little Siphon Filter. Riley, what's up? $5 dono. Thanks for the stream, guys. Love seeing the community come together and support the game. We love playing. Much love, guys. By the way, Gamer1337 rules.
Well, okay, I'm missing something there, aren't I?
Yo, dude, did you not see my April Fool's video?
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Gamer 1337. Yes, yes.
Yo, Riley, shout out to you, brother, for the $5 dono, man.
Yeah, and then Christian Davis says that gave up on Ghost Recon PvP, and the sad part is they actually just announced the other day that they're going to be shutting down the multiplayer servers on Ghost Recon Future Soldier and Rainbow Six Vegas 2. So even if you wanted to go back and try to find a lobby or
Yep.
set up like a private lobby that's actually online,
Yeah.
you can't.
Yep.
So
Nigel King, $5 dono.
damn, man, everybody's coming in hot.
Coming in hot.
Appreciate it, man. Appreciate the $4.99.
And that's
These
the
keep coming.
thing.
I might have to try to track down a 3080 for an ungodly amount of money.
And you know what? That's the closing of these servers. Although I know 10 years from now people aren't going to be playing Breakpoint. The point is when you purchase something, regardless if you have the opportunity to go back and you don't, you want to still have that opportunity. And people don't like the fact that if Ubisoft one day from now, 5 years, 10 years, decides to shut down the Breakpoint servers, you'll never be able to experience this game ever again at all. At
That's
least with
true.
those other games, you can still play the single player and experience it. You go back 10 years for a little nostalgia, you just want to kind of try it out. But for Breakpoint, if it's the year 2030 and you're playing, Ghost Recon, whatever at that point, and they're like, hey, we're shutting down Breakpoint servers, you're going to be like, damn, although I don't play it and I don't want to, the fact that will never be able to go back and play it ever again kind of sucks. And I hope moving forward, Ubisoft, I mean,
There's no
I
reason that this game should have been locked
yeah,
to online only with the
yeah,
massive
for real.
PVE part of it.
And at the very least, if it does ever get to the point where they want to shut it down, they need to build into these types of games that are mostly single player games that I know you can play at co-op. They need to have it written in the code to where it can still be supported without the online requirement. It just at that point it won't ever be updated again. Whatever is broken, blah blah blah. It is what it is.
Yeah, and Ronin's Ghost 108, are you still going to be able to play story co-op on Ghost Recon Future Soldier and Rainbow Six Vegas 2? I don't think so.
Wait,
Because
yeah.
that would
Oh,
require
story co-op.
an online connection. And
Well,
would that technically be like an online, would you be no, because I
I
think
don't
that would be peer to peer.
yeah, that's what I was gonna ask. Is the story co-op peer to peer? Do you
Yeah,
are you
I don't think it
logging
would
into
be.
someone else?
Yeah, it wouldn't be matchmaking. I don't think. I think it would be like a peer to peer. So like you could host a game and invite your friend to it.
That's a good
I would
question.
think because that would suck.
Yeah.
Because like I would love to like go through like you're talking about going and playing Ghost Recon Future Soldier. I would love to go through that and play it with you when you like your first full playthrough.
Dude,
Because
I didn't even know you could co-op that.
yeah, you can co-op. I
Yeah.
think you can co-op with up to 4 players in that.
Oh, damn, we should do that.
And I'm pretty sure I'd have to.
W-
I don't
We
remember.
can start we could start there and then move into Wildlands.
I'm just saying is I think with Future Soldier, like for instance, if I played co-op, you still get 2 AI teammates.
Oh, okay.
I'm pretty sure because you always have to have a 4-man squad in there. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
I might be wrong, but I know you can play co-op because me and one of my buddies, back on the Xbox 360, like I've only played it on PC recently. I only purchased it on PC recently, but we played through the Future Soldier campaign. I want to say like 25 times on console, just because it was so fun. The story's really good.
Yeah.
So Oh,
G-Money
anything
A
else?
Squad, Imma let you know how good Sniper Ghost Warrior Contract 2 coming out in June. That's another one, I'm
I
not a
have one of them. Or it's not
yeah, I was
contract,
gonna
so I think it's
I might
Sniper
I
Ghost
might give that
Warrior
a try,
3.
man.
I think I have Sniper Ghost Warrior 3. And I saw a lot of reviews on it. I saw a lot of videos on it. I liked it. And then like one of the first missions, like you're in this helicopter shooting down into like this silo thing, and I literally kept failing it over and over. I don't know if it was bugged or something, and I was like, screw this game. And I never played it since. Because that one was like, well, at least the one that I bought was where like you had this base, you had a base inside of a cave, like in this like complete foreign land or whatever, like where you'd go out into the open world and do these sniper missions, and then you would go back to this cave, which was kind of like your base, and kit out your weapons and upgrade your stuff, and it was kind of like your little hub, where you could go back to, and it was kind of like it was all first person, and it was like where you would kind of like climb down into a secret entrance or something when you went down into your cave where all your stuff was at, and it was a cool concept. I just like got stuck on like one of the first missions and got so frustrated that I was just like, screw this game, and I just put it down and I never touched it.
Whoa, Riley, from the people who wanna donate but are unable to do so, shout out to the community and from the community, $20 donation, shout out to
Damn,
Riley,
man.
everybody, let's get some love for Riley in the
Much
chat, this is
love.
amazing, this is what it's all about. We're gonna push forward, and we are going to make Ghost Recon great again.
I
Ladies and
need to
gentlemen.
start making some hats and making some T-shirts. Hashtag make Ghost Recon great again.
Ghost Warrior
Oh,
3, I have that as well, I haven't played in ages, though. Yeah, I think I might have to pick if the new one that new sniper contract or whatever comes out, I might have to pick that up. I know the, Sniper Elite, I never picked up Sniper Elite
I
f
played like the
I have
original
3.
Sniper Elite
Yeah,
from way
I
back
never
in the
got
day.
into it. Maybe I'll pick up 4 for a playthrough, maybe on Steam or something, I might end up doing that, but,
Yeah, because all of those sniper games, because I will always remember like the first one that I ever played, because they all have that same mechanic where you like if you snipe somebody in the head, like it follows the bullet and then it
yeah.
shows it like busting through the dude's face. Oh, good times. Because I think the first one, like the original one, was like a World War II, like the original sniper, whatever it was called. I don't even remember what it was called. But me and one of my buddies used to play that in co-op because like you'd be able to set up the little trip mines and stuff across doors and like get into a sniper location and then trip mine the door so nobody could like sneak up behind you. Like the AI would flank you and stuff, but they couldn't get to you because of the trip mines. And
Yeah.
Nigel King
Nigel.
with the $9.99. Appreciate you guys. Yeah. This is
Yo,
fun. We want to do this more because there's not really anybody, even Ubisoft themselves don't do live streams anymore.
yep.
So we are taking it upon ourselves to carry the community to greatness.
Nigel, we appreciate you too, brother, man. All
This
you
is where if
guys.
I had my webcam on, I would go like full gladiator. Are you not entertained?
For real, shout
Uh
out to Nigel. I mean, it is true though. This is something that I don't know how it works with community managers, but when I sat there and I made what did I call it? The hardcore challenge, right? And it was basically start a new character, turn the HUD off, get to Erewhon, unlock um your canteen and faction missions, no dying, no using vehicles, go do all the faction missions in one playthrough, no suppressors, see how far you get. Right. So like I had a video, I discussed it. I was in it's in the docs. I linked it in my videos when I do my hardcore challenge. I'm really surprised that as community managers, because you are managing a community, the extent of what they do is basically just to let us know if something is going to happen or if something's not going to happen. Outside of that, there's not much engagement where it's like, hey guys, today I'm going to drop a challenge for the entire community. Go out and see how many wolves you can kill without dying. Like, I don't know, little things where it's kind of like you engage with the community outside of the realm of, hey, this is what I can tell you and this is what I can't tell you. I know once they did, I think a picture challenge where like who has the nicest picture in photo mode or something like that. But it would be really cool if they did come out and do things like that and try to engage with the community on a level where it brings everybody into the game more. And it would be cool just to see that type of camaraderie in the forums or on Reddit or whatnot. Because outside of bashing the game or 50 million people talking about how they would design the game, pointing at myself right now, I am guilty of that as well. I do try to do it respectfully. It would be nice to have more of a, hey guys, let's go in game and try to do this, or let's go in game and try to do that, or let me know how it goes if you try to play this way. And I think that would be really cool. At this point, it doesn't really matter. The game is a year and a half years old anyway. But from the get-go and everything like that, it would be cool if community managers did things like that outside of the purview of just informing us what the developers want us to know. But yeah, a little rant there.
And on that note, first challenge: how many Unidad guys can you take down once you get fully alerted with a pistol in
Go
ghost mode?
going back to the wildlands.
Uh,
Oh
you have
man.
to rank your character all the way up to a level 30 in ghost mode, and then just equip a pistol and get the entire Unidad force after you and try to survive so you can save your character. Oh, that'd be harsh. Oh, that'd be harsh.
Their community, oh well, so Boxhead says that the community managers aren't gamers. They're just someone working a job.
Not true. Well, currently I don't know, but
Well,
back when,
I would assume some do this, some do that. Not all of them play Ghost Recon. I could see someone having a job for it, but okay, what were you gonna say?
the old community manager for Ghost Recon, Kiba, Yubi Kiba, she took her Ghost Recon community manager role extremely seriously. She was the community manager during Future Soldier, I believe, and Wildlands.
Where'd she
And,
go?
she's on a different team now. I don't remember. I think I don't know what team she works for now, but she's not associated with Ghost Recon anymore. And
That
she was actually
sucks.
really sad, like when that happened. And she's a gamer, and she was a big presence in the Ghost Recon community. I don't know why they moved her off of Ghost Recon, but the hardcore Ghost Recon guys and a lot of the guys that like went over to that were star players and they got flown over to the studio to kind of give feedback on Wildlands, which also was another reason why Wildlands was a lot better than it really was, like better than Breakpoint. They had a lot of people that got flown over to the studio and tested the game prior to even it being revealed, which never happened with Breakpoint until the closed alpha.
Yeah.
So you had a lot more testing from outside people on Wildlands, which it showed. So, but yeah,
Debbie,
Yubi
okay.
Kiba was a boss when it came to Ghost Recon as a community manager.
Debbie.
So
Yeah, and then like I don't know how much Laura Caudry plays this game, or Grace or Lady who left and
yeah,
now
she
works
works for
at Santa
Blizzard now.
Monica
Grace
Studios.
works. Or yeah, Santa Monica. Yeah, that's right. Sony Santa Monica. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So I don't know
Laura
about them, but
works for Ubisoft still, I believe.
she's just doing something else, right?
She's just doing something else. But they were, I don't know how big of gamers they were. I honestly don't know. But they were just kind of like the Delta Company PR.
Yeah.
And now neither of them have anything to do with obviously Delta Company. And I don't know. I honestly don't know his real name, but it's a UBP dog. Is kind of in control of Delta Company now. And I'll be honest, he's doing a fantastic job. He's got a lot of communication. He really cares about like the whole thing, and he wants it to succeed. So,
Yeah, good. And that's what you need.
yep.
I don't know, Riley. Riley said, "Yo, so do you think game developers should be required to play their game for a certain amount of hours weekly?" I mean, you have to think of it
Yeah.
like this, Riley. If you're creating a game, you're probably, deep into it for the systems you're creating.
Oh my God,
After you put
Maggie
in
with the
40,
20.
50, $60, 40, 50, 60 hours a week. I don't know if you want to play anymore. For real, Maggie, good. You want to read that out?
Oh, just matchmaking Riley McQueen's energy. Or McQuillan's, Riley McQuillan's energy.
Riley McQuillan's
That's funny.
energy. Shout out, yo, Maggie, what's up, man? Shout out to you, brother. And yeah, I don't know. I think when they're making their game, they're definitely play testing it while making it to make sure it works, what they're creating works, but I don't think you can force anyone to play a game outside of what their job entails and making sure that they do their job, because then at that point, I'm sure the creative team and the director, it's their job to ensure everybody's job is getting done so the game comes together in one piece. I don't think playing it at that point would matter because so many people are doing so many different things that until you get to the end product, you don't really see what's happening and you don't really know if something works well or not, i.e., tiered loot and all that stuff. I think they thought they had a home run with that shit. And the minute
Yeah.
we the minute the community found out, they got tore to shreds.
Yep.
So imagine
I
imagine the Dad, what are you gonna
No,
say?
no, no. I was gonna say, I just feel like at that point, and this is not like I'm not saying that this is something that like they should pick me. I think they would be best off in situations like that because honestly, even at this point, I feel like the community managers, uh, with understanding the community is a massive disconnect.
Yes.
They almost
But
and like
that's
that's
the I think that's the creative team
yeah,
because
but I
the
think
people at the
like
ground level, they're just doing their job.
right.
It's the people who are saying, "This is what I want you to build. This is what we're gonna create. This is the story. This is what the writers are doing. Let's make it happen."
That's where I feel as if they should, and that's kind of like what Delta Company is kind of supposed to be. But I feel as if I don't know. I don't want to sound like a dick when I say this, but it's like trying to give a bunch of feedback on the game. It's like it's to the point where they almost need to have like people in the community that are actual like community managers that like for instance, I feel as if I almost have more interaction with the community than the community managers do.
Oh, that well,
With
dude,
the
that is
comment section of
exactly
the
just my
videos
point.
and the comments in the live streams and
Yeah.
talking to other people on Twitter and Discord. And it's
Yes,
like,
definitely. Nigel King with another $5 donation, bro. We need this every week.
oh,
They're fiending for it already, bro.
that'd be tough. But I honestly think we could get on here and rattle once a week, to be honest.
Nigel, we'll see what's up. A Squad and I, we have a lot of behind the scenes discussions and production things that we need to discuss. But we're definitely moving forward with the idea of engaging more, whether it be a tactical roundtable or a playthrough of Wildlands. Like, there's going to be a lot more moving forward, so don't
And
worry about it.
real quick, let's just address
Ghost
this real
training.
quick.
I'm not Delta, bro. I'm Delta in my heart, dude.
Yeah, shooting McTrap. I don't understand the issues with tiered loot. If you don't want to use tiered loot, don't equip tiered loot. From the start, that wasn't an option. Only when
Yeah,
we got the
shooting.
immersive update was that an option. And being the fact that the entire game was built around that, the raid is still to this day built around that. It's in the core system of the game.
Also,
And it's a Ghost Recon game, which, in my opinion, shouldn't have tiered loot. Go.
yes. Also, I don't know if people remember this because it has been nerfed, but the original tiered loot difficulty when you first got the game felt more like the division. So for instance, when you play on tiered mode now and you go to kill the wolves in the beginning, they'll die normally. But back when the game first came out, the bullet sponginess of the enemies was way worse. Almost like they had truly developed this to be more Division light than Ghost Recon with a few little mechanics of Division here and there. So there were some really things that were off. And yeah, immersive mode wasn't there. Like you literally had to do all of this stuff. And it's a big deal when you're playing a Ghost Recon game and the number one mechanic of the game is to go open a treasure chest and put on a piece of equipment.
Yeah.
Also, in the beginning, it didn't automatically equip things. Like you had to every 5 minutes you were going, not even every minute, you were going back into your menu to change a piece of gear.
Yeah.
So you were playing a game where it's basically kill enemies, a rainbow of loot drops from them. You have to run over to them. Now, remind you, you're playing a tactical shooter, so you can't set up in a position and attack a base because this guy drops gear, that guy drops gear. You're running around and picking up gear. You're putting this gear on, so you're going into a menu. You're putting on this gear. You're leaving a menu. It was very, very tedious. It was not well thought out. It was a system that flopped on every level, and they deserve the lash that they got. Stabby McStab again, brother. You want to read that? This
You got that one. You can get that one.
Stabby McStab Gaming, brother. Shout out to you. Not only has Stabby donated multiple times, he became an official member of the A Squad gaming community. I love it.
Yeah, make sure you
Before
spam them hype emotes.
Spam those emotes, baby. Before I forget, what about the implementation of a stacking room clearing feature? Having the ability to flash, frag, smoke, and clear, that would be legit. Okay, last one. I swear, laugh my ass off. A Squad, we spoke about this earlier
It's a
when
feature
we
that's in
were
Ghost Recon Future Soldier.
we were discussing the mechanics of breaching with the AI teammates.
Hmm.
We were discussing CQB. We were discussing how we can't really control them, and this is something that the team definitely missed the mark, not only with the AI teammates from the onset, but then implementing the breach system in Amber Sky and not having the teammates actual clear the buildings in a cohesive manner. I think the AI teammates need to be built from the ground up if you want to have mechanics like this because they just feel way too all over the place when you tell
Yeah.
them to open fire.
Yeah, like I said, it's a I would say it's a forced mechanic because there are certain spots in Ghost Recon Future Soldier where it's like there's like you have to you have to capture a hostage. You have to save a hostage, and there's obviously bad guys in this room, and all four guys stack up on different spots, and then somebody you throw like crack the door, throw in a flashbang, let it go off, and then you bust through the doors and you breach, and then it kind of goes, it slows down. It slows down real slow, like a slow motion where you're like slowly turning and snapping onto like the enemies and stuff. Like it's in reality technically happening super fast, but they slow it down to make it a little bit more cinematic. But that's like all four characters stack up and they breach. That happens, oh my gosh, that probably happens 6, 7, 8 times at least throughout the
Yeah.
campaign. And it's like, I want to be able to do that. It wouldn't necessarily have to be in every single building in the game, but there should be, like, for instance, on specific missions and stuff like that, that mechanic that is built into Ghost Recon Future Soldier. Why did they not bring it back? Just like the gunsmith system that was more in depth with Ghost Recon Future Soldier. Why didn't that get brought back in Wildlands? There was so many little things that were missing from the gunsmith from Future Soldier that they didn't bring into Wildlands. You know,
Yep.
I feel like almost every like Future Soldier had some groundbreaking things, and they trimmed it back for Wildlands. Obviously, they expanded it to an open world, and then they trimmed back more when they made Breakpoint. Like the customization wasn't as cool, the gunsmith wasn't as complete, and just some of the in-game mechanics were lacking. It just almost feels like they just keep taking steps back every new game, which should be the exact opposite. You should iterate and you know, should have more content. It should have more, and you should better the systems from the previous game in the next game.
And I mean, you just said it all right there. When you look at Future Soldier, Wildlands, Breakpoint, there's no is continuality a word? There's no continuous feeling of building upon mechanics that really work well and that the players enjoyed. You know, we spoke about the Unidad mechanic specifically before and how that was just fundamentally just abandoned. Even the rebel mechanic, it's so lackluster in Breakpoint. You know, yeah, we have a strike designator, but you know, the rebel mechanic was so great in Wildlands, and there's so many systems that just aren't being built upon to make things better. It's like they have a great system and they just abandon it and make new things. And hopefully moving forward, they can really get back to taking these systems that they know worked and that we all talk about and just making them better for future iterations of this franchise.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could switch out the gas system in Future Soldier, and then they abandoned that. That's
Yeah.
another thing that a lot of people talk about, which is not only gas systems and gunsmiths, but calibers, uh, subsonic versus supersonic bullets, and you know, and pairing all these things up and having different ballistics for it. We'll never get something like that. That will take an intense amount of coding, uh, in 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 development. I don't know if they'll ever do something like that, but
Yep. Yeah, and see that's like we
fuck,
were talking
dude.
about too. Is like even like with Escape from Tarkov, that's built with a very small studio, and that's on the Unity engine, which I
What's
would
on Unity?
honestly, uh, Tarkov, Escape from Tarkov's on the Unity
Oh, they
engine.
built that in Unity?
Yeah,
Wow, good
that's what
for
I'm
them.
saying is you have an insane weapon customization. Character customization obviously isn't. I mean, well, it's not there on like the level of what you can customize in Ghost Recon, but it's like when you put on a tack rig, it's a specific tack rig that has specific item slots, or you put on an armored tack rig. Instead of having to wear chest armor, you can just wear an armored tack rig. And there are obviously, like, depending on what tack rigs you wear and what helmets you wear, glasses, masks, all that stuff, headsets, it does, that's its own layer of character customization. But
Yeah,
with and less than 100 developers in the studio building that entire game on Unity, and they come up with one of the greatest realistic first person shooters I would say ever made, to
yeah.
be honest.
I guess it just goes to show you that, maybe Anvil Next isn't the problem. Maybe you know, it's the developers or just the creative team over at UB Paris. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'd love to let them have the opportunity to just unleash their talent and create the best Ghost Recon they can moving forward. And here's Tarkov is PC only. So,
Yeah, but when it comes to keybinds, I think you could modify that
well, my
for
point being is
console.
that when you're developing for just something like that,
Yeah.
you're not limited by the hardware.
True. True.
It's like you have a range that that people are going to be able to hit. Whereas when you're dealing with PS4, this Xbox, this PC. So hopefully, like we said before, moving forward, Ubisoft Paris will really unleash what they can do and what they should do for Ghost Recon with next gen consoles and PC, and we'll really get something substantial and some systems that really showcase the talent of what we know that these guys can do, because I think they're talented. I think they're a talented development studio. I just think they had the wrong people at the helm for Ghost Recon Breakpoint. I think the wrong people were in charge. I do think they could make some adjustments with the writing. I do think they can make some adjustments with the creative talent. I think they need a bit more of a hardcore element when it comes to tactical shooters in their circle, and hopefully they could really hit a home run with the next iteration, because I would hate to see back-to-back flops for this franchise, because I've already seen them abandon one of my favorite franchises of all time, which is Splinter Cell. I'd hate to see them do it to Ghost Recon as well.
Yeah.
And knowing that Ubisoft Paris has completely abandoned Splinter Cell, I don't second guess that they will do it to Ghost Recon if we get another title that completely flops.
Yep.
So hopefully, they're gonna hit the mark with the next game.
Well, if there's any community, if there's any Ghost Recon devs in here, sign me up for a community manager. Throw me on the payroll. I'll tell you what the community's talking about. I'll keep you in tuned every single day. Uh, well, I think that is gonna wrap it up. I think we should wrap it up because I honestly think if we don't, we could be here for another 3 or 4 hours, talking with the community. Um, So we're currently at 3 hours and 10 minutes, basically 3 hours and 10 minutes on the dot. This is definitely something like we talked about that we're going to be doing in the future. Expect a Craig Barlow, Maria's cave. Yeah, well, you know where she got to put him somewhere. She's got to put him somewhere. Um, Also, real quick, I'm not sure if anyone's asked this,
That
but
was a dumb mechanic.
what's your opinion on the Sentinel and the Wolves? Somehow they're getting orders from somebody, and they're still on the island under full control, even though we've already like totally annihilated it. But
Yeah, Foxer, we had mentioned that before, basically that nothing makes sense for Sentinel or the Wolves because their entire leadership has been dismantled. And yeah, Red Quado. The Gunsmith is super unrealistic. It's very arcadey. They've pushed this game very, very arcadey. Hopefully they could push it back the other way and find a good balance in the middle.
yep. Take
Ghost training
care,
later,
Ghost
brother.
Training. Yep, take care, man. So, all right. Conclusions. Ghost Recon is in not that great of a state, and hopefully with the next 2 updates we get some fun stuff to play, and hopefully we can they work on something really better the franchise moving forward. But like I was getting at, we are definitely going to be doing a Ghost Recon Wildlands playthrough soon, possibly a Ghost Recon Future Soldier playthrough first.
Yeah, maybe we'll do Future Soldier into
Yeah.
Wildlands, being that Future Soldier is only like 12 missions, right?
Yep. Yep.
We can do that, bang that out, and then we could go into Wildlands and bug out for a while.
Yep. So, all right. Well, that is going to wrap things up. Big shout out to the man, the myth, the legend, G Money Mozart, for hopping on here, and then that A Squad guy for finally not bailing last minute on the tactical roundtable.
Bro, I had a lot of fun, brother. This was awesome. Thanks for having me on.
So, had a lot of viewers in here, a lot of great ideas, a lot of good conversations with the community, and maybe if we can do this on a somewhat routine basis, this could maybe gain some more traction and maybe get some eyes from the dev team. I mean, I've already been told that some of the devs watch my videos and your videos, by the way.
Oh, little old me.
So this is definitely something that we could kind of turn into a positive thing for the community. You know, good feedback, good ideas, maybe help shape whatever comes next for the Ghost Recon franchise. Because I think, my personal opinion, I think there will be at least one more. And if that flops, then what you were talking about is definitely a possibility.
Yeah.
But I think there's at least going to be one more Ghost Recon at this point. When? Who knows? But Riley McQuillan coming in again with another $5. Conclusion, you guys are awesome. And Future Soldier playthrough, yes. Honestly, being the fact that I've played through that thing like 30 times and you've never actually did a full playthrough, oh man, I just want to be there. I just want to be there when you see some of this shit for the first time. That's
Hell
what I
yeah,
want to
dude. Hell
see.
yeah.
Because you're gonna be
That's
like,
gonna be fun.
your first thing is gonna be like, oh my god, this is so cool. Why isn't this in Breakpoint? This is bullshit, you know. So yeah, it's a good game, and we'll definitely have that up on the channel. Just so you know, probably even be best to do that in like a live stream, because I think a lot of people would enjoy watching that, especially for some people that may have not,
Oh no,
may not have
definitely,
played through it.
definitely.
So
Yeah, definitely have to live stream it.
so, well, with that being said, like I said before, if we don't cut this, we're gonna rattle on until the wee hours of the morning. So that is gonna wrap it up. But we will definitely keep you guys up to date on when we're gonna do another one of these, and then maybe at some point we will work our way up to have the CEO of Ubisoft on the show one day. So
Definitely.
we'll see. But well, that's gonna do it, guys.
We're working on it.
Yep, that's gonna do it, guys. Take care. Thanks for all the love in the chat, subscriptions, channel members, donations, the whole 9 yards. And we will catch you guys in the next one.
Yes, sir. Later.
All right.